Time.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
Clobbering time. Clobber animal. It's clobbering time!
Yeah, we all about the clobbering. And we're going to clobber tonight. Mr. Gary Beekler, welcome to Clobbering Times, sir.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Oh, man. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great now, man. Just great. Just doing what we do best on Monday nights. Just Monday Night Mark C. Comics Talk. Welcome, everybody out
Mark
there.
C. How long has Mark been gone now?
Dude, it's a little over 2 years now. And it's I can't even believe it. All we can do is honor him by talking about something he dearly loved, which was comic books, amongst other things. But he loved comics. And just want to welcome everyone out there to Clobbering Times number 578 on YouTube, 1,278 overall the past 14 years of doing this. And just if you've never been here before, I thank you. And to all my wonderful well, to everyone else, the secret is to bang the rocks together, guys, and all my other friends out there. It's good to see you. I want to say hello to everybody, but I want to shout out some wrenches really quickly, if you don't mind, Gary, especially our good buddy, the Bronze Wrencher, Eric K. That's what we call him around here, the Bronze Wrencher. We love that man, and I hope he's doing better.
I hope his balls aren't encased in bronze like Silver Surfers are encased in silver.
Wow. You can't get any more heartfelt and sweet than that, Eric K. You should be honored.
Eric knows who he's dealing with. No, I hope he gets better.
we love you, buddy. He's such a good. He's been a good friend of the show, even though he's mean to me and teases me a lot. So, you know, we still love him. He's got this thing back when we started on my Saturday Night Star Trek show when we were reviewing The Next Generation. We're in Deep Space Nine now, but we're reviewing all of Real Trek. But he started making fun of me, like, because I hated Wesley so much. He started telling everybody to have a Wesley shrine and all that kind of stuff.
You do. You have little candles burnt.
That's what he says. Well, if Eric K says it, it must be true.
Yep.
Shout out the great Chris Perger, the Vindicator Wrench of the North. Thanks for all you do, buddy.
Vindicator.
Yes, he is the Vindicator Wrench of the North. I have characters for all of my wrench buddies, including the great D-Bud Martin, the Wrench of Iron. D-Bud is such an Iron Man expert. We've reviewed an Iron Man comic recently, as we often want to do here. He has written a book about Iron Man armor. So this man knows his Iron Man, sir.
Oh, is it available? Can we find it?
He sent out a PDF. I could get that for you. I don't know if he has it actually in print form anymore or whatever it was. I'd have to ask him. But and he got on me one night for making fun of George Tuska's art. And so after a year of talking about it and joking with each other, he made me. Just last month, we reviewed a George Tuska comic book on George's birthday, and I loved it. And hey, I don't beat up on George Tuscasard anymore for Iron Man. He was good. You know, he was good.
He's fine.
Yeah, he was,
fine.
and he had a good run on the series.
Yeah,
Great Lord Thoth. Lord Thoth is an extraordinary gentleman as well, as you well know. God of wrenching, and he is like me. He is a Legion of Superheroes weirdo, and that is a weird thing to be. I admit it. So long live the Legion buddy, and Avon lives, because he's also a Blake Seven fan, like I am. And shout out to his wonderful lady Thoth, his wife. And I want to thank my good buddy J-Man here, the Wench Without Fear, fellow Legionnaire reviewer, and Bob Haney, reviewer extraordinaire. I was on his channel earlier. Look, every other Monday, 3 Mondays out of the month, we review Legion of Superheroes, the whole Silver and Bronze Age run, which is going to take us a while. We just got started, so that we're having fun doing that. Hungry Boy, master of the Claboni, and artist of the cover of Science Fiction Tales, Marion Briggs, Kal-El, the Super Wrench. Good to see you, buddy, and Maddie's daddy, and of course, Phantom Outsider, and then our Limericks master, our music meister, Max Redstone. I hope you're feeling better if you're out there, buddy. So,
Batman Brave and the Bold.
Yes.
Love that cartoon.
I love that show.
Love that show is so good.
That show was my happy place. Again, Batman animated series by every measure is real. It's better. It's because it's the Dark Knight Detective. But the one that makes me happy and smile,
Raven the Bold, like brought up the weirdest characters, and it was great. It was great. The Music Meister was a great episode.
Oh, it was. Was it Neil Patrick Harris?
Neil Patrick Harris. That's right.
They had a lot of great cameos. I dearly love that show and dearly love that episode. So that's cool. I'm glad you liked that one. Yeah, hilarious with the Tuska. By the way, D-Bud, we were talking earlier. Please, all these years, tell us what the name of and where the location of your comic shop, since we're about to expose the comic shop owner cabal that Eric K has been torturing us with all this time. D-Bud Martin, please, if you will, let us know that, and I'll look for it in your chat.
Yeah.
Because it's somewhere out in your neck of the woods there, Gary, and it's been quite a while. I know that because he's older than me.
Oh, yeah, and I'm younger than you, but not by much.
Yes, you are. Yep, but not by much. That's right. We're still in the same generation there.
Yeah, we are
pretty much, Gary. So there you go. Let's see. Thank you all. Oh, by the way, the great Nick Weiser, thank you for becoming a member, buddy. Appreciate you there. Thanks so much. Nick is the man. On Friday nights on his late night comic shop show, we have a lot of fun there. This past week, we just reviewed the X-Men Teen Titans crossover from 1982 by Walt Simonson and Chris. That's
my all-time favorite crossover.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Dark Phoenix. Oh my God.
Sir.
It blew my mind when that happened. And remember, Teen Titans was outselling X-Men at the time.
It was. I ordered ridiculously on this one because I was running the shop at the time, not my own. The one I started running. I started the comic business, and then I ordered the hell out of that, considering how small we were. This is when there was no such thing as a comic shop down here. You were in the big leagues, Gary. I was down in the farm leagues and nothing way down here, and so we were just getting started with comic shops. In fact, before I started working for this one in 1982. Not too long before that, if you said comic shop, I'm like, well, are you saying there's a place like a store for comic books? I didn't even know the words didn't go together. They didn't make sense to me. There were comic racks and there were drugstore racks.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's about it. The newsstands. There was newsstands that had comics.
Newsstands. We didn't have those down here.
The only reason I was even close to one is because of a Marine base.
Oh,
Pendleton. So the comic store was near the Marine base, and so was the newsstand. That's the only big city stuff we had in San Diego, North County in the late 70s and early 80s. I got that crossover Dark Phoenix at the Coronet newsstand in Oceanside, which is right next door to Professor X's comics, which lasted for like a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It was California Comic Book Company. The SF store was in the Richmond District, 7th and Clement. It was Clement, sorry. And there was from 1986 to 1995. Are you familiar with that?
I am familiar with the name because you ended right when the comic outpost started a year before you ended.
Wow.
D-Bud Martin, and it was on Irving. It started on Irving Street, with a kid named Lawrence, I believe. And then it split off into a second store, which went to Ocean. That's the one I bought, and a guy named Orestes bought it. And that's not far from where 7th and Clement is. Oh God, I'm forgetting the name of the. God, it's been 20 years. There's a comic store really close to that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Still went out there, huh?
Wow. Out there. I'll get the name of it. It's
Look at that.
It's mostly toys. God, I hate it when this happens. But that's near my kid. That was near my kid's elementary school too.
Fiona went to that shop when she was 8 years old. Well, Fiona, good to see you there, dear. Wow. That's something, man, I tell you. So, yeah, D-Bud, man, dude, that's amazing.
But he must have known about Comics and Comics then, and
Probably.
know about the Comics and Comics was a scandal. It was an absolute scandal. It was a chain of stores, and the owner got busted doing a 9/11 fraud, a 9/11 charity fraud, and it turned into a bunch of other comic books. So
he may well.
Cards and Comics Central. Cards and Comics Central. Can't imagine how I forgot that name, but
wow.
Yeah, they're in where are they now? They're on Geary, right? That's kind of near Clement. It's very close. Yeah, they're dicks. They overprice everything. I didn't like Cards and Comics Central. That's why I never went there. last time I was in San Francisco, Clobby,
yes.
which was 2021. I still need to go there to get the rest of my comics.
Oh wow.
It was late 2021. I went to San Francisco. Like COVID was mostly over at the time. Most shops weren't letting you enter. They were still doing curbside, like crazy shit in 2021. So that's how bad San Francisco was. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. There you go. I mean, I have a. Let's see. Oh, D-Bud says, "Yep, Comics and Comics was in Berkeley when I was going to Cal." Wow. Okay. Wow. There you go. See, I have a saying about that when I walk into a comic shop, and dude, I don't get to travel anymore like I used to, but anywhere, if I'm ever in any city ever, my thing to do is I don't want to go see sightseeing or anything. I want to go to the comic shops. That's just me, and that's just me. And I have a saying in a lot of comic shops. I would look at the price on something, go, price to keep, because you're keeping that, you're not selling it, and that's just a lot of shops.
Yeah, no, I would. Well, you're supposed to, for one. Technically, you're supposed to put a price on everything unless it's a fixture or a decoration, and you can get taxed on it. But I put a price on everything. I had a life-size Superman. I put like $10,000 on it. I would be willing to get rid of it if somebody gave me 10 grand, but it was priced to keep.
Yes,
I do that with some comics just so they would look good on my wall too. You know,
of course. Man, I don't have room for anything anymore. But yeah. I don't have any close to what I used to have, though. I guess you still have something of a collection for yourself. I
do. I way downsized after the shop, right? But yeah, I still need to downsize some more. I do. I know what I want now. I'm fixated on like what I will continue to collect, and it's pretty much exclusively Bronze Age.
I heard you say that the other night on a stream. I forget where you were. And that just, dude, I'm a Bronze Age baby through and through. I love of course, I love the Golden Age, the Silver Age. You could argue some of the greatest artists came to fruition. I adore Bronze Age, of course, starting with Jack Kirby leaving Marvel in 1970, culminating with Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985. But before that, in that space, I just my favorite, man. It's my favorite. I love Silver. Like I said, but some of the greatest comics done were in the Bronze Age.
Yep. My philosophy is with Silver, I've got a bunch of full runs anyway, but if I was missing any keys, I would just get the keys, and then I want to get the entire Bronze Age, but like of everything.
I've heard you say that before. That's an amazing goal.
It'll never be done.
But it could be done. Well, dude, they had the racks flooded with reprints at that time, so it wouldn't be easy.
No.
If you want to, like, some runs even were interrupted by certain full reprints, some partial reprints. But if you wanted to get it all, man, that was when there was a flourishing, healthy comic book industry. That means there was a lot of competition, and you got a lot of paper.
A lot of paper. Millions were being printed.
Millions.
I am in every. Oh God, it was incredible. And it's totally impossible. But I I completed full runs of pretty much every comic I liked. So I did it already, and I'm like, wow, I'm never gonna freaking read all of these again. You know, I'm just not gonna do it. It's nice.
Yes.
I don't even have. Honestly, I have not seen my comic collection in one place in 5 years. 5 years. Yeah.
Oh,
But I know what I have roughly, but yeah, it's starting to go a little bit. It's starting to go.
Well, that there was a question along those lines that I wanted to ask you. First, I was going to say that I want to have everyone, if you please, could. I put a link in the chat right there, and it's pinned at the top. Mr. Jason Sandberg is getting close on his Jupiter backed comic. I think Comics Division has mentioned this on your show, Gary. This gentleman has a comic coming out, very Kirby-esque, as you can see. He's been on my show a couple times. There's a link to that site if anyone please want to go check that out. It's Jupiter by Jason Sandberg, very nice fellow, and I have just a ton of fun talking comics with him. So, if you, like I said, he's been on Comics Division and many of our other friends' shows, so on channels. So, please, if you would go check him out, appreciate you on that. He's an awesome dude. Looks cool.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to support all our guys who are doing their independent work like that. Yep. You know, including the gentleman you got a shirt of right there, who I saw today got Mr. Chuck Dixon working for him. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rippaverse.
Yeah, they sat on that one for a while, but I almost blurted it out on Friday night. I came like this close, and I'm like, oh shit. But I'm like, that's why you shouldn't tell me anything. But yeah, it's really exciting, and they've got more. Like, it's just getting going. So getting Chuck is huge.
That's amazing.
He's such a cool dude.
He really is
regular dude. It's nice.
Absolutely. You had him and Graham Nolan the other night.
Yeah.
I tell you what, when I was watching Graham Nolan, he mentioned something, Gary, that just it floored me because I have a show that my buddy J-Man I was telling you about earlier. Once a month, he mentioned Bob Haney. I don't know if you're that familiar with Bob Haney. Mm-hmm. We do a special on his because again, Bronze Age fans, his Brave and the Bold. We do one a month it's called Earth B. And we pick a Brave and Bold issue by Bob Haney and Jim Aparo. We just started about 6 months ago. And I don't know if you've taken a look at some of these. Not our show. I'm just talking about the comic. If you want to read the craziest, wackiest, most insane, wackadoodle, bonkers comic you've ever read in your life, we're reviewing them, just picking and choosing. Read a Bob Haney comic from Batman Brave and the Bold. I'll recommend an issue or two just so you could get in the feel for it. Because when Graham Nolan mentioned that, it just tickled me. I'm going, oh, man, he knows. Back in the after Crisis on Infinite Earths, there was one of these crisis indexes that came out from one of these other companies, and it was it was tallying different things that went into the crisis. And they had this thing called Earth B, and I was reading on Earth B. What the hell is that? I know Earth 1 and Earth 2 or 3 or Earth X. Earth B was named B for Bob Haney because those Brave and the Bold issues and his other stuff. This guy had no care for continuity. He didn't give a crap. Well, 1 week Batman would team up with characters that were already dead. Batman never acted like Batman in the comic, and there's an issue where Sergeant Rock and Batman team up where Jim Aparo was on the cover with a hooded guy pointing a gun at him saying, Aparo, either Rock kills Batman or I kill you. And the whole issue is about these hooded guys chasing the artist and the writer, chasing Jim Aparo around, trying to force him to draw the comic book where Rock kills Batman for some reason, and they're inside the DC universe. It'll make your head explode. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Bob Haney. So it's
great how the cartoon captures the spirit of that book.
Oh, yeah, it does. In a sense, absolutely. DC editorial named Earth B after him. Said if anything doesn't ever make sense, we just take that continuity. We say that happened on Earth B.
Yep.
So I was tickled pink when Graham Nolan, mentioned that the other day. That was great.
Yep. The art is spectacular in it, though. It's so good. Yeah.
I mean, Jim Aparo, just unreal, man. He was truly one of the great Batman artists. And Graham Nolan rightly said, if he had been teamed up with some of the other writers, maybe like Denny O'Neil or somebody like that, more often instead of Bob, God bless Bob Haney. I don't know. It's something. Oh, man.
But that was, I read it when I was a kid. So it's like it made perfect sense to me.
Oh yeah,
yeah, man.
Yeah.
but that was the difference between like that's why I gravitated to Marvel because DC was just silly.
Yes.
DC was just silly. But you know, they were still my first, you know, George Reeves Superman, Adam West Batman, the Super Friends, you know, and the only thing we got from Marvel is like Spidey super stories on the Electric Company, right? Where he just talk bubbles the teeth out of you. So it was a crazy time, but a good time. I freaking loved it. That's why I love the Bronze Age. I love that era. It was
the best.
It was the best.
You know, and that begs the question because I don't know if you've been asked this or I just don't know it. Everyone has. Look, we're comic geeks, so origin stories are just something that comes second nature to us. So whenever you ask a person, what is your origin? In other words, what got you into comics or Star Trek or Doctor Who, whatever it happens to be, people usually can say, oh, listen, I remember I saw this. And so every time people start bring up so what about you, Marvel or DC? You ever get that one? Yeah. I'm like, well, my gateway drug to comics was TV. So I didn't, when I was already into superheroes before I knew what a Marvel or a DC was. I mean, I'm so old, the Batman TV show in 1966, that's the first word I can say was Batman because of it. Then, you know, the Superman cartoons, Fantastic Four cartoons, Spider-Man cartoons, Marvel cartoons, Super Friends. By the time I was getting a comic book, I didn't know what a Marvel or a DC was. I just knew they were superheroes. I loved them all. So I don't prefer either company. I mean, in fact, if you know comic history, even throughout the Bronze Age, all the same people worked at both companies all throughout and were some freelance. So there's not a whole lot that was endemic to one or the other at that point. If you know,
when they crossed over, they had heard of each other. You know, when Superman and Spider-Man, they knew each other. So right, the way we always kind of saw it back then. Yeah, it was. I don't remember. It wasn't later till we started arguing Marvel versus DC. You're right. Like in the 70s, nobody gives. Like we just got it. You know, whatever comic books we can get, we got. You
got a comic, and you love Superman, and you love Spider-Man, and you love Batman, and you love whatever it is. But Fantastic Four and the Legion of Superheroes are almost equally dear to my heart. Of course, FF is in first place for everything, but I love them as much, you know, each other, and I really never cared what company it was. But there are people now, and I think this people for a lot of people from younger generations do it. Like, oh, I think DC's so much better, or they like Marvel better. And there's a difference, I guess, when it comes to movies and all that kind of crap. But when you started in comics, or you started as a kid in another medium, then you moved up to comics, it just didn't matter as much.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the DC comics on the shelf were just more expensive. They were thicker, right? I mean, but they were more expensive. You can get a Marvel comic for 25 cents when I was a kid, and it was like 40 or something for 50 for Disney or DC. I keep doing that. I have Disney on my brain right now.
I know.
DC was at the time, that's what I distinctly remember. It was like, it's just a matter of, it was finances. That's it. It's like I could get 2 comic books for the price of one, whatever DC book was on that spinner rack. And I didn't have the best, selection at the 7-Eleven where I was going to
same here.
Books. So I just bought what I could.
Same here. Now, again, that's because DC at that point, when they were both 20, and then when they start having their regular quarter books at 25 in the mid 70s, in the early mid 70s, then DC started loading these books up with these 52 pagers filled with a lot of reprints, which allowed them to make bigger comics and charge 50 cents and stuff, which in the old days, they weren't called trade paperbacks or hardcovers. They were called either Marvel Tales or Marvel Super Action or Marvel's Greatest Comics, or they were DC reprint books with one new story or two, and then the rest filed reprints.
The first trades were the Fireside books, right?
I have almost all of those.
So I do too. I just bought one today. I already had it, but it's $15.
Oh my God. I have it. Beautiful.
I'm like, did you misprice? I even went up to the counter. I'm like, did you misprice this?
Oh, you found it out of the store?
I bought it out of a store for $15. And I'm like, it's not in the best condition, but like it's not falling apart.
No, that's a good price.
I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna buy it. So I did. Because this cover is so rad. Yep.
Romita painting. And he didn't paint much, but speaking of Fireside, he did there was a smaller one that has a Spider-Man one with Romita reprints that I have signed by. I got him to sign it back in, so at least I got Romita Senior's autograph on something to Spidey. So yeah, I love my Fireside books, dude.
Dude, they're so good.
Oh,
that was the only way I could read number ones back then. unless we got there was the at the school book, like the school book bus would come by, right? The book.
Oh yes.
And then you get those little big books that used to be huge in the 30s, right? So I didn't even know this. So like little big books were kind of a thing back in the day.
Yeah.
It'd be Popeye or whatever. But they started doing Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. So I buy those, and that's how I'd read any back issues. And like we were just reading stuff out of order back then. So
you took what you could get.
Well, yeah, and then like you talk to your friends who read the other comic books, and they just tell you what happened, right? Or you trade, because you used to that used to be a thing, is you trade comic books like you traded baseball cards,
Absolutely, and it makes it. You went to a shop and got that. It makes me think. You've mentioned before, and I don't know if you still think about this. Do you think you will ever start that big shop up one day? I know you get asked this a lot.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, I was always of the mind. Yeah, I was always of the mind, like, well, this YouTube thing's not going to last forever, right? So I better put some money away to get something done. But then, like, COVID, like, threw a curveball and all of that.
Yeah.
We had my wife working, and that would have made it a lot easier. But like I always said, I always thought about moving because like there's no way I'm going to pay rent in a store anymore. Like I want to buy the building, and I don't care where, but I just want to buy the building, and I'll make a place where people will want to go as long as it's near a sort of a town or an urban center or something. Maybe in retirement, if it would be something I would pass on to my kid if he has an interest in it, which he's just obsessed with comic books right now.
Oh, wow. So, cool.
Yeah. So it's a possibility, but it would have to be like after I'm done, because there's just no way I could run a shop and do YouTube.
No.
I don't know how people make comic books and do YouTube. I don't know. I know how much goes into them, and I don't know how Eric does it. Like starts a whole business, buys warehouses, and still has time to go do Blaze and he's young, he has more energy than me. I don't know, but I don't know how he does it, man. Because it's tons of fun, but it's time consuming. It's super time consuming.
Yeah, I hear you there. Well, you could hire me. I'll do it for you, man.
Sure. Yeah, if you had a good manager, that would be a difference, But the whole plan was to have like a studio inside of a comic shop. But,
yes,
I'd really go for if I could find an old movie theater that we can like convert into a comic shop movie theater. Man, that would be awesome. That would be fun.
You wouldn't even carry new crap, would you?
No.
Would
not deal with any with. I mean, Diamond was bad enough, but dealing with ordering from 3 different places right now, one of them being Diamond, it's like no, hell no.
It's awful. I can't believe that.
I will scour the country, buy collections, and sell mine and just go from there.
Nobody's buying that new crap. I mean, they don't even keep an honest tally on any of that stuff. It's just to put it on racks, and they tell, we sold, because comic shops over order on the crap.
But they have no idea. They like, I'm sure Marvel has the data and DC has the data of how many they print and send out, but they're not sharing it, and they're not sharing it the same reason. Sorry, there's a mosquito in here. They're not sharing it for the same reason streamers don't share their numbers. They're really freaking low. I think Miss Marvel #1, her fourth iteration of a #1 sold a whopping 25,000, and that's just like, trust me, bro. Like I doubt it's that. I highly doubt it was 25,000. The fact that they have to fib up for 25,000. And I walked into Heroes and Fantasies today, and I looked at their new release rack. I'm like, God, their new release rack is a third of the size that mine was, and their shop is like 100 times bigger. But it's a third of the size that mine was, telling you exactly where they are. And the one book I was interested in was Nemesis from Mark Millar. Not so totally sold out, gone. So yeah. And that's just semi-interested. I'm like, it's pretty good, it's fine. But I mean, I could count on one hand how many new comics I bought in the last year, and 2 of them were from Mark Millar.
I think I bought a couple of the facsimile books because they were. I mean, it's $4, but it's a facsimile of a great old classic comic, so it's kind of fun to flip them. But I can't think of a new. Oh well, no, it was Oh, I did buy Avengers War Across Time because it was Paul Levitz and Alan Davis, and it takes place. It takes place in the between Avengers number 8, in other words, in the Silver Age. So it was kind of cool, and I was just because it was them. It was like 5 issues.
That's cool. Paul Levitz writing for Marvel.
Yep, the only time he said technically, except he got a letter published with him once. Well, that doesn't count, Paul. Even I got a letter published with him.
I got a letter published in.
Did you really?
Yeah, Ghost Rider number 7. It's like volume 3, I think, 3 or 4.
Wow, I think mine
Daniel
was
Way one. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, mine was Incredible 251, I think. Michael Golden cover.
Oh, I have that. I have that.
It's a really embarrassing, idiotic letter because I was 16. I'm so embarrassed by it, but they always threatened to show them to people. They're always threatening me to show them around what I wrote, and I'm
going to find my letter and I'm going to embarrass you.
Oh man, please don't. Well, if you do it, you're allowed.
Michael
Golden did it to me.
Michael Golden in his prime was the greatest, absolute greatest. Like Avengers Annual number 10 is one of the best drawn comics ever. Yeah, he was so good. Micronauts. Yeah. Marvel Fanfare.
Yes, 1 and 2.
God, I loved Marvel. That was such a weird book. I loved it.
Weird Batman annual he did. People's faces. I mean, of course, he did the Nom for a long time, but I like some of his stuff too. I was always that Star Wars number 38 or whatever, right before the adaptation of Empire. That issue, that was one of the first times I think I saw his work. But,
his work, like he got looser as time went on, but like he was writing, he was in this fantasy phase, right? So he was drawing superhero art, like fantasy art, like 70s fantasy art, and it was freaking cool. It was just an amazing style and so fluid. And just go through, thumb through if you can, or look at images of Avengers Annual number 10. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I have it up, and it's quite pricey these days. Yeah, it's quite pricey these days, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It is. But I don't know if you were a ROM fan at all.
Yep.
But I used to love ROM. I just saw today announced that they're doing the ROM omnibus finally. So they couldn't do it before because of Parker Brothers.
So Parker Brothers let him, or
there's an article out there today that says I think Greenfield reported it that they're doing one finally, and yet they just came out with a Rich Rider Nova omnibus that I really want, but I just can't spend even though there's a good price on it in stock trades, because I love Rich Rider Nova. That has every single thing, not just the regular issue of his run, every Bronze Age appearance of Rich Rider Nova, except for ROM 24, because you can't have it in there.
Because you can't have it in there.
And now they're doing an omnibus. I'm like, you sons of. And it just came out, man. Beautiful book. I mean, I love me some omnibus. I just love those beautiful trades and omnibus compilations and stuff.
Oh, they're great. I had to stop. I had to freaking stop.
They'll kill you. They're too many, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
they take up space.
I've got like massive book collection of fantasy books, and then my Conan books, which take up an entire shelf.
Oh wow, yeah.
Then all my paperbacks, then all my Marvel paperbacks, then all my Elric and weird, all my Battlestar Galactica paperbacks, my Indiana Jones. But the Indiana Jones books were awesome, by the way. We got a shitty movie coming out pretty soon, but
aren't you looking forward to that?
the books are awesome. Oh, yes. I saw in the shop today they had a full run of the Further Adventures of Indiana Jones for Marvel. Started for $150, and I'm like,
no kidding.
If I didn't already have it, I'd buy it, but I already had it. So,
good Lord, how many issues were there of that? It wasn't like a lot of them.
60,
maybe 50, that many? Yeah,
30, something.
Crazy.
It was a stack about this big. It was a stack about this big.
That's not too bad then, I guess. Yeah, but you already have them, so.
I already have them. Terry Austin did the art.
Well, he did some inked Byrne actually did one whole issue of that, like or two maybe.
Yeah,
first one.
Then
with Austin inking. Yeah. But yeah, it did run for a little while then, if I remember right. But yes, so yeah, that was the good old days when movies had comics adaptations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if a movie was coming out, man, a big one.
Remember like what was it, For Your Eyes Only?
Yeah, Howard Chaykin
had a Marvel comic.
Chaykin did that one.
Yeah, he did. Dude, there's a Classics Illustrated Dr. No.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the cover.
Yeah, I've got it. Like,
wow.
For some reason that just like blanked in my memory or something. We were at a shop about a year ago. My wife's like, "Look at this." I'm like, No, they did a classic illustrated Dr. No. I bought it.
A couple years back, I did a whole show about, I think, and with our boy Mark C and I, we did a show about comic book adaptation, movie adaptations. Movies adapted into comics, like, and I went deep dived on it because I didn't just go into the 80s, which we did most in the 80s, and I didn't realize how many movies had a comic book adaptation far before Marvel got any licensing doing it. Charlton was doing it. Charlton did a lot of TV shows.
Charlton did a ton of TV shows.
TV shows. Dell, and a lot of them. So yes,
Gold Key Star Trek. Come on, Gold Key Star Trek. They're wacky, but I liked them.
Oh, his covers are crazy, but yeah, they're beautiful.
They're freaking gorgeous.
George Wilson did a lot of the painting. Great stuff.
Wasn't one I heard, just because I remember seeing like the flames coming out of the
yes
cells, and it was an Italian artist who had no fucking idea that.
Yes, the early issues of that, he was getting scripts, and just like James Blish, who was doing the novelizations, getting scripts, but he did not see the series. So yes, sure.
Twilight Zone comics I loved.
I
read anything, like you said, like I remember like every summer when I was really young, and still living at home, obviously, that we went on a road trip every summer. So we'd hit truck stops, and my favorite thing is hitting a truck stop and getting that grab bag, which was mostly Charlton comics, but sometimes you get a Marvel one and stuff. Just read the hell out of them. Just didn't care, as long as I had a comic and something to read in that freaking car. But it was those were really good times. And then I would go to Roscoe, South Dakota for the summer to farm, because yes, I did farming when I was a kid.
Wow.
I never want to do it again. It's really hard.
I'm so happy about that.
I know. But the drugstore there had comic books, but what they would do, and this is what Marvel and DC were doing. You always like, what did they do with those strip covers? What did they do? Well, they resold them.
Yeah, I suppose so.
People would resell them. The shops would resell them. And what you do is you make a roll. You put a little rubber band around it, and you say 50 cents for a roll of comic books with no covers. Didn't care.
Oh,
so I'd go and just, throw down my $3 and get like 10 comics out of it. And it's like, holy shit, this is great. Yeah, there's no cover. That sucks, but I got something to read.
It's a comic to read.
Yep. And that's what I do all summer is farm and read those comic books. But dude, there's a Time Bandits adaptation by Marvel.
Yes,
which I love, by the way, because there's nothing for Time Bandits. There's a DVD. I don't even think there's a book. There should be an art book for that, but I don't know if there is. But there's that comic book. No action figures, nothing. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Nothing.
And it's not like, I love Buckaroo Banzai. There's a comic book adaptation and a novelization.
Yes, there is.
And they're both great. Well, the comic didn't have great art, but still, it's still, it's good. You want more info on, or you want more,
you always, that's why you bought the adaptation. It's like, I saw the movie, but I wanted it's like a way to take something home, right?
Well, so,
I went to Heroes and Fantasies today, and I saw this, and I distinctly remember buying this. Like, I remember what I would buy this every month. Yeah,
Starlog magazine. I've done a lot of shows about that. I love it. Dude, I have it.
So Molly Ringwald was in this. This was a 3D movie.
Yes.
This, of course, is Roy Scheider's Blue Thunder, which has a freaking awesome soundtrack, and that is Pam Grier in the brilliant Something Wicked This Way Comes.
I saw that at the theater in 1983.
Great year, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember having this on my desk forever. And $4.
Had to have it.
I had to have it, and then I got good old Gil Gerard.
That's, dude, the first Starlog I ever bought off the rack. I bought all issues before that later. The first one right there. Wow, number 39, I bet.
Well, yeah.
I can't see the numbering, but yes, 39.
It's 39. Dude, you couldn't see the number and you guessed that? That was pretty good. I also got 32, which was hidden.
Greatness. Starlog. We show the pictures of this all the time. I'm just reminiscing about it, man. I can remember parts of my life by looking at old Starlog magazines back then. That's how ridiculous I am, because going to the Walden's books and getting the new each month, getting the new Starlog, looking at what's coming out in the movies. Oh man,
dude, that was our internet. Okay,
yes,
we get a Starlog, and I had to beg my mom for a subscription. I got a subscription, and but then I got this bad boy.
Hey,
Ooh.
Wow,
it still has the poster.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. Oh my god, I'm sure you have the Steranko comic adaptation.
I do. I have the comic version.
Steranko cover with Al Williamson interior, I should say.
Yeah, and the Steranko Marvel Special Edition.
Super special. Which was weird because they made it comic book size when it had been previously. It was always that magazine was magazine size, and they had to make the Blade Runner one comic book size with the Steranko cover. I don't understand why they did that.
That was a weird move, but yeah, Al Williamson and Carlos Garzon.
Garzon is correct. Yes,
did Empire, Jedi, and Blade Runner. And they were just, the art is, I mean, I'm sure they did some little bit of cheating, but I don't care. It looks so effing good. And remember, we saw Yoda before Yoda changed. We saw Ralph
in one of them.
Yeah, Yoda that looked like
a rat dude,
dark elf. Yeah, it's like
yes, that's right. That was and you can still find it in the small book size, paperback book size adaptation of Empire. I think it's in there, but they in later iterations they modified, they changed,
they modified it. But yeah, I got the novel. I got the paperback size one because remember they come out before the movie did. So
back then they always came out before the movie, dude. Like a week or two. I was the shop I was running in '83 when Jedi came out. George Lucas had a fit when the comic book adaptation Marvel Super Special was in stores in New York, like 3 weeks. Drugstores is 3 weeks before the movie.
Long time.
Yes, he was not happy.
Didn't care. I read that thing, and I still I didn't give a shit. And then I found this, and I kind of want all of these now, but
oh, good Lord, man.
Red Sonja and Solomon Kane and Cole. It was
beautiful.
My son picked this out. He's all, this is cool.
Man.
I need that. So.
Oh, man, those old Curtis publication magazines that through Marvel. God, those are beautiful.
They're the best. And when I was a kid, I like the covers. I'm like, but they're black and white. But when I got older, I realized why they didn't have the comic code. And because they're much more violent and there's boobs.
Boobs. The Planet of the Apes mag through that was also great. The black and white Planet of the Apes mag was fantastic. I have all those. Oh, the Doc Savage magazine too.
Dude, the Doc Savage one, I got a stack of those today too. They're downstairs. The Hulk one that they did, that's not, I don't think I
Rampaging Hulk.
Rampaging Hulk was rad. Like the dude, there's a great Star-Lord one.
Marvel preview.
Yeah. And then I got this. I'm digging this out.
Dark Horse. There you go. Frank Miller cover.
First Sin City.
Oh my goodness. Okay, there you go.
Frank. Our boy. He's not doing so well, I don't think.
Oh no, I've heard that.
Yeah. He doesn't look healthy.
I remember when Ronin first came out, and I was arguing with the owner. Before I owned my own, I was working with someone. I argued with the owner. He wanted to order way too much of it. Now my argument was, look, I want it. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait till it comes out. But you don't want to go crazy on it because it's Frank Miller. I said, no, it's Frank Miller. He's a superstar. But that it doesn't have an established character. It doesn't have like Daredevil. And look at the pictures we're seeing on this. Order it for sure, but don't go crazy on it because it's not like it's Daredevil, which you couldn't keep when after it started getting huge. And we ended up getting stuck with a ton of them. Now I tried to sell it as much as I could, but it still didn't have the name recognition of a character to go with it. Back then, a superstar artist was not quite enough. Until later, when he did Dark Knight Returns, it was Batman involved with it. So,
Yeah.
I
mean, Ronin sells okay now. I'm looking. The reason I'm
now
looking,
it does well.
It's on my shelf, but that's when he also did a very distinct style change.
Big change.
Not everybody was happy with it first,
including me. I didn't like it much as a kid.
I like the cleaner style better too. I mean, I like Dark Knight Returns. I love it. And but I like his cleaner style. His Daredevil style, with the Klaus Janson or
Klaus.
Inks. Klaus.
Right.
Yeah, he was just, I think he was just more in tune, and then he got more abstract. What he did is started getting more abstract and becoming more artist.
He needs Jansen or he needs Rubinstein inking him,
Ru-
like on Wolverine.
I've got a Frank Miller and Rubinstein bullseye that Frank Miller penciled, Rubinstein inked, and it was just it was for commissions. So that's what they do is they just draw character pieces for commissions at cons, like way back in the day. And Rubinstein walks into my damn shop.
Wow.
I guess he needed money. I don't know. And he has a stack of commission pieces that he inked, right? And I bought it for like $40. And I bought like a few things off him so I could resell them. And he was a perfectly cool guy, totally cool guy. But yeah, he just randomly walked in my store one day. I'm like, I know who you are. So
he was one of the best.
I hung out for a couple hours. He was good.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah. One of the great artists. And that brings me to who are some of your favorite artists? I mean, do you have I don't know if you have to like pull out a list unless you have it, of course, but would you name as some of your favorites?
Definitely Dicko, Kirby, the usuals, Neil Adams, George Perez, Bolin, Frank Miller, of course. He's my favorite run, but I have to say my all-time favorite guy is John Byrne.
You and Mark had that in common.
Yep.
It's his favorite. And we used to argue about Byrne. Good.
I mean, his heyday was right around Frank Miller's heyday, right?
Yes.
So when he was in the 70s and in the 80s, he started getting a little looser and thinner with his style. But when he was working on the X-Men, like that was just, and then his Fantastic Four run, just unbelievable. If anybody was an heir apparent to Kirby who could never match Kirby, but could be an heir apparent, it would be John Byrne, because he was a cantankerous asshole, which I really appreciated and respected. Yes. But he fucking loved comic books. He never wanted to go storyboard in Hollywood. He didn't want to write script. He just loves comic books. He's a total freaking geek through and through, and knows so much, and came up with so many seminal things. And him and Claremont worked together, but like Byrne came up with a lot of stuff too for an artist. Yes. He got looser as time went on, but he drew me one of the best commission pieces I've ever gotten. That was in 2005. So he still has it. He still had it back then, but like nothing can match like his Marvel team up stuff, that he did. Unbelievable. The best Spider-Man you ever see drawn.
With Joe Sinnen inking him. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And Terry Austin.
But Byrne's my favorite because he's just a pure comic book artist. I mean, I'm not saying he's the best, technically the best, but he's fluid, and his comics always were fun to read. Oh, the pages were always full. Everything was dynamic. He had that weird way he drew his, because each comic book artist puts themselves in each character. They all kind of look like John Byrne. The Jack Kirby characters all kind of look like Jack Kirby. If you look at features in their face, like the way Byrne draws a mouth, it's how Byrne's mouth is. So I don't know if that's unconscious. I'm sure it's unconscious, but it is pretty strange. And like I don't even have modern artists. I guess the most modern favorite. I like Mike Mignola. I love his style. His style is like great. I wouldn't call him a great artist. He's got a very distinct style. Mark Silvestri to me was the best of the Image lot, my personal opinion. I like Alex Ross. I do. I think like some of the stuff he does is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's Cassidy. I thought he was really good. I like Mike Allred. Yeah, I like all kinds of artists. But my favorite's Byrne.
Well, it's a good choice. I mean, Byrne. One of the things that Mark, our good buddy, our dear departed Mark C, and I sort of bonded over in a sense. He when we met at this shop somewhere in the early 2000s, at a shop near here, and he proceeded to tell me, I didn't know this. He says that he bought comics for me when he was a kid. This happens to me. I don't know about you, Gary, and it's probably happened. I have run into people at comic shops later, like later in life. Like one time there was this dude in this pinstripe suit, like pinstripe, this 3C fancy suit, who we started a conversation about Batman. This was a comic shop around 2005 or 6, and he started telling me how his dad brought him to this comic shop when he was really young, and this cool dude sold me all this Batman stuff. After he's describing, oh my God, that was me. Well, that's happened to me many times, and one of them was with Mark because he was a lot younger than me. So we started talking and we became friendly, and he started telling me, yeah, I bought comics when he was a kid. I would come there, my mom would drop me off, that kind of stuff. I'm like, whoa. And it was at my shop, the one I owned later in the late 80s. If that won't make you feel old, I don't know what will. So
yeah, I had a kid reached out to Melissa, my wife, and we did birthday parties at the store. I risked.
Oh,
I got rid of a lot. I took the Silver Age stuff off the wall, and I risked, damage to my new releases. But I'm like, fuck it. I think it's a good idea. So we did birthday parties at the store, and it made us tons of money. It was ridiculous. But the first party we had, the kid contacted us within the last 2 months, and he's like, yeah, I just graduated college. I'm like,
oh my God.
You were a little kid. You were a little kid.
It's going to keep happening, Gary. I mean, this has happened to me on many occasions. These guys were grown in their 30s in some cases, or late 20s. And Mark, he started when we would bump into each other. We would argue about Byrne. I hate Byrne's Superman reboot. He loves it. He's a lot younger than me. So we'd argue about it. And he would come in and he would say stuff like, so you ought to have me on your show. That was when I was over on BTR. This was years and years ago. I said, sure, we'll talk. Yeah, anytime, man. Come on. And then every time we were bumping each other, he'd say it again. I was like, and he'd say, what, you afraid to have me on? You think no, man. And we would tease each other about it. But finally, in 2020, after 700 episodes over there and 11 years over there, I moved over to YouTube. My son had been trying to get me to move over here for a while. And he said, you going to have me on or not, man? So we did it. And we did. It was one of my first shows over here where we had our not very contentious, our friendly and fun disagreement on Byrne's take on Superman. And that was when we just started doing shows together. We had a lot of fun doing them together, but it was a lot of fun. He loved Byrne. It was his favorite, although he did, Mark was a great artist himself. I can't draw flies. This dude could draw. I mean, he's really an excellent comic artist of his own right. He wanted to do that, and he's done a lot of great art. So he knows comic book art. We would talk about that a lot. We would do our countdown, our favorite artists and all this other kind of stuff. And I would argue that because I love Byrne's work, but I like when he's got inkers. I would argue that in his later 80s or some of his 90s stuff and even into his late 90s, it should be a crime against humanity that he was allowed to ink himself in some cases. He could not ink himself, at least for me.
Yeah, he was better when other people inked him. He was, and same with Frank Miller.
Oh God, yeah,
yeah. Like there was very complicated. Hey, John Romita Jr. Right?
Oh boy, yeah. Only Bob Layton could save him.
Bob Layton, and we found out that most of the stuff was because, God, that stuff is amazing. That Spider-Man stuff is absolutely amazing.
Iron Man.
It was Bob Layton.
Bob Layton. I hate to say it.
Yeah, but it was. No, Bob Layton's a freaking legend, man. His Iron Man is the coolest looking Iron Man. And and what he did with the finishing touches on John Romita's work, which got a lot looser and blockier later on.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God. What was it? Is it Diamond Head? No, it's the Cobra. There is a great cover of Spider-Man climbing a wall, and the bad guy. Help me, chat. It's been a minute. It's a Cobra.
It was one of the Romita junior
covers. Yeah.
Okay.
This goes into
Copperhead, right?
Copperhead. Thank you. And it was Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut, where he takes on the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
And Madam Web. That's all John Romita Jr. stuff, and it's fantastic. But it's nothing like his stuff later. He
should have stayed that way because he was really just kind of aping his pappy, to be honest with you.
Ape your pappy.
Yep. Keep aping your pappy. Because when he did, I think the first time it stands out that I saw something that's like, what is this? Was that horrible looking Daredevil Year One.
Yeah.
Oh, when Frank Miller wrote it, if we only could have got Mazzucchelli to do that.
I know.
Born Again's one, my buddy
Mazzucchelli,
a masterpiece.
One of the greats. Absolutely. Born Again is a masterpiece. Batman Year One, masterpiece.
And he hadn't done much.
And he hadn't done much, but dude, his art is so fluid. So he's like a better Bruce Timm and Darwin Cook.
Very Alex Toth, Toth inspired him. And our buddy Mark loved Alex Toth, and he loved Wally Wood and people like that. And rightly so.
I love Wally Wood too. Crazy mofo.
Crazy, such a sad. Yes.
Yeah.
A very sad thing.
Tortured soul. A tortured soul. That Wally.
He was that. Yeah, damn shame. And and he wasn't the only one. I mean, there were a lot of the comic book business did that. People, it chewed people up. Yeah, Ditko was too. Although he was a cantankerous old SOB who hung around for a long time.
And he did, liked his Lyndon LaRouche, and
he did. He was something. He did. Oh man,
funniest thing for the longest time, if you drove down Interstate 5 in San Diego towards downtown, you're approaching the airport. Trying to paint a picture for people who've been there. If you look to the right past Claremont Boulevard, there was a Lyndon LaRouche for President 1960 sign up until 2001.
Oh, really?
Like, somebody just forgot about. Like, it was just it was on the back of a building, on the back of another sign.
Wow.
Lyndon LaRouche for President 1960, and you're like, what the fuck?
Unless that's on there for
2001.
Oh my god. Yeah, Ditko liked him, and did you ever see the documentary In Search of Steve Ditko by Jonathan Ross?
Yes.
That was something with Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore were on there.
Yep. And
speaking of them,
they didn't get him on the camera.
No, they let him. He let him inside though.
He did, but
not on camera. Well, what's funny about that is because since you've seen that, you'll understand this. A good number of years ago, far before Mr. Ditko had passed, I get a text from a buddy of mine. His name is John. He is Roy Thomas's agent actually now, but before he was that. And he sends me this text message with a picture of the door that said Ditko on it. I'm like, where the hell are you? And I thought he was full of crap. I'm like, whatever, dude. Then about a few days after the gentleman had passed, meeting Mr. Ditko, he puts up this friend of mine. He puts up a video on his, I think, Facebook page, and it's him knocking on Steve Ditko's studio door. Ditko walks out, sees the phone, and basically doesn't flip him off, but like waves on, like, get out of here, kid. Boom, and shuts the door on him. He waited till after he was gone to put it out there, but.
Yeah, well, there's no pictures of the guy.
No,
it's like he never went outside. I don't know, like, how he made money. I know he did work later on, but like not reason. He died around the same time Stan Lee did. So
a few months before. That was the summer before. Yeah. So yeah, 18.
And there was like, we'd look for pictures, and he was just like this enigma. Dude was effing brilliant, and it's a brilliance I did not like as a kid. I'm like, fuck this, I don't like it. I like John Romero.
Same here.
And same with Kirby. I was like too blocky, and this was when I was like 7, so I was a dumb kid, as opposed to a dumb adult. But when you get older, you're like, holy crap, these guys. You see Kirby's like pages, you see the big artist edition books of his stuff,
right?
And it's just like, oh, this guy was like, nobody will ever touch what that guy did. Never. Like with our comic artists now, who I guess some of the best ones can produce 10 whole books a year, and he did 20,000 pages. It's like, yeah, nobody will.
He will never be touched in any facet of the game. No one will ever reach him with creativity, volume, detail, composition, you name it. There people may not like that. I get some people just don't like the same aesthetic or style. I've always loved his work, but there have been others, like I was dragged at first, didn't like Ditko. Of course, I was seeing a lot of his later work. So I'm there with you. No one will ever touch the king. And I don't know if you're familiar with it. Remember there used to be a magazine called Tripwire?
Yeah.
And now I think it's just digital. Well, about a year or so ago, I discovered they were doing this article that was it was weekly installments, and it was called The Top 101 All-Time Greatest Comic Book Artists. So for my Thursday night Clubhouse show, I started covering it after they were up to like 50 something, and they were doing it every week. So I did a show covering the first 50. Then each week I would do, we would talk about them. And holy mother of God, was there some dumb crowds. I mean, some of the omissions are outrageously glaring, and some of the people above certain. I mean, in other words, like Gil Kane all the way down at 54 is not acceptable. George Perez at 46 is not acceptable.
That's ridiculous.
And there were some people, look, no Kurt Swan, no Jerry Siegel. I mean, excuse me, no Joe Schuster, sorry. There were a lot of people not on the freaking list, and other ones are like Alex Toth at 61. You guys are idiots. But we covered it each week, having a lot of fun with it. You know, just going to look at how bad they're going to be this week, you know. And when we finally got down into the top 10, it was a little more sensible, right? I mean, most of your people that you would expect. And then when we're getting that night, when we got the last two, I'm like, okay, they figured he's gonna have an aneurysm. Clobby's gonna need an ambulance. If we know who number one is not number one, there's gonna be an ambulance being called. But of course, number two was weird. But most of the other ones were okay.
Who was number two?
And I hate to say this, but number two is one of those wonderful fantasy artists of all time. But it wasn't not when it comes to comics. They had Frank Frazetta at number two. Didn't belong. Only because he didn't have a gigantic body of comic book work to speak of.
Frazetta should be number one if you're going to put him on any list.
Fantasy list.
But on a fantasy list, not comic book artist. I mean, that'd be like, Steranko.
And I love him.
I don't think Steranko did enough work to be considered.
No, he got the top 20.
I mean, his work was amazing, but there's just not a lot of it.
Right. See, that was part of my criteria. Body of work and influence and things like that would make up your higher you go. Right. But most of the top 10 was fairly agreeable. You may argue with some placement, but yes, they at least had number one. They had the good sense to put Jack because, and I know that's bias on my part, but dude, the two greatest geek experiences of my life were meeting and hanging out with Jack and Ross Kirby, and it was the best ever, man. It was just the greatest. So I love them.
Yeah. Kirby's number one.
Number one.
He's number one. He's got to be number one. I'm looking over there because I have some Steranko books over there, but God, they're good. But he just didn't do enough.
Do you have his Outland adaptation?
No.
Dude, you know the movie Outland with Sean Connery?
Yeah.
I go into the store when that came out in 1980, and I flipped it. I wanted it so bad, but I didn't want to drop the cash on it. I did. Now it's ridiculous. If you would look at some pictures of that, it's one of the most gorgeous pieces of art. Beautiful color comic book art you're ever going to see. It's rivals Steranko's other stuff, but the other stuff's great because it has superheroes on. It has Nick Fury and it has Captain America's. But you're right, he didn't do enough. But what he did was, if you look at Outland by Jim Steranko and you look at the art on there, it's I don't know what that album's going for. It was produced through a Metal Orient. It was a heavy metal through it's French album or whatever. It's unreal.
Oh, it's the album. That's right, because they called
an album. Yes,
that's what they called Alien too.
The Walt Simonson one, yeah,
the Walt Simonson.
So if you ever see that, if you ever see that anywhere, I don't know what kind of coin it would draw, but it probably wouldn't be cheap. But it's gorgeous, man. It's one of the most beautiful works of comics work I've ever seen, and I like the movie was okay. I remember going to see it at the theater when it came out. This was like 81, maybe.
Yeah, it's 81.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's Sean Connery's in it, so you can't go too wrong there, right? It's just kind of a cop show in space, but like High Noon. So if you ever see that one, I think you might be impressed with the art.
I am looking it up now. Why?
If you Google it, Outland by Steranko. If you want, I can.
I got it.
Oh, you got it.
Jim Steranko's Outland adaptation. There it is. No, yeah, because I've got the Alien one.
By Simonson. I should have got that one.
Oh, you could still get it.
That's probably not as expensive. I don't know. But so if you ever take a look at that one, you might find that one interesting.
Boom, 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 boom. There it is. Yeah, that's awesome. Holy shit. God, how did I miss it?
It was It was only in Walden's bookstores. It wasn't at comic shops even back then.
No,
it wasn't anywhere else. But someone told me they got a what was it? Someone sent me they got a hardcover. Oh, someone told me that a friend of mine told me they have a hardcover of that. I don't know, but I don't think they're never going to reprint that thing.
No.
And as much as I love Steranko, the last time I got to see him at a con, I only got to hear him talk because I'm standing at his table and he's talking to some dude.
Crap, that is good. Wow.
You see it? Oh God.
Oh my God. I think
that's amongst his greatest work, in my opinion. It's beautiful. So it's but yeah, he I didn't get a chance to talk to him.
I talked to Jim Steranko at Comic-Con 2007. He hit on my wife. Well, I mean, he was just flirting with my wife. It was pretty funny. I was like, Steranko's flirting with my wife. Cool.
If you ever talk to him again, ask him how he bitch slapped Bob Kane. He'll tell you the story. He did.
Who?
Jim Steranko.
I'm glad he bitch slapped him for. Oh, okay. So they put it in. I'm sorry. They put it in an album.
Yes.
But they also spread it out through freaking heavy metals.
Yes, I'm sure they did.
Yes.
Serialized it. Yes.
So
but it was when I saw it, it was in an album. It was like 81. I go to the store and look at it. I want this, and I was buying the magazine. I don't know. I just didn't, like a jerk. I was a stupid kid, you know. And then years later, I'd be like, I guess if I really loved the movie or something, I thought I saw the movie when it came out, like, it's all right, but I'm being a dummy, didn't get it. Which happens, you pass on something, and you go, damn it. So yeah. Now it's probably expensive on Fleabay, as Mark calls it, but.
I'd rather just go to a con. It's easier to find stuff at cons these days than eBay's. I don't know. It's almost too easy.
Yeah, might be. It is. You rather find you rather go like do the chase, like go find it at the comic shop, eh?
There it is. There's the Alien, the illustrated. Yeah, you can get it for $20.
Really? That ain't bad. Walt Simonson, dude.
That's freaking great.
Yes. Yeah, love it. Because a lot of the comic adaptations of movies, sometimes they wouldn't put the top artist. I mean, Conan, they put John Buscema, which is cool, right? But some of the other ones, although my favorite one's probably the Flash Gordon comic adaptation because it was Al Williamson.
Yeah, I got that in a hardcover right by my Flash Gordon figure. And who published it again?
It was Gold Key.
Golden Books or Gold Key or
Golden
something.
Books, something like that.
Oh, no, Gold Key. It was Gold Key, right? Yeah. They put it in their Flash Gordon comic run, and it was like a 3-issue run.
And it was a trade paper, and it was a graphic novel size too.
Yeah, they put it in hardcover and stuff.
But before that, I had the soft cover. I didn't know they ever did a hardcover. I got the soft cover that came out in 1980. And I found that it took me like 3-4 years, 10 years to find that sucker, actually.
Oh yeah, you can find the hard. I randomly came across it on. I needed a background for my. I got my 1/6 scale Ming and Flash Gordon. I'm like, I need something behind it. I need something Flash Gordon. I found it for like $20. I'm like,
I looked for it all throughout the 80s. I'd seen the comic split up comic of it, right? But I looked for that because I wanted it so bad, and it took me. I found trace. Let's see. I tracked it down to a comic shop sometime in the 90s. And hey there, Valiant. Speaking of guys, Renegade. Speaking of guys, I sold comics to. Sold comics to him as a kid. You should be in bed, young man. That's good.
Yeah, he's a little late.
He's good to see you there, buddy. VR.
You told me about this. This is going to be an obsession of mine. I'm going to need to find this now. So it ran through heavy metal through 1981 and 82. So I got to find the issues it ran through, and then find the damn book, which looks like it's impossible to find.
Really? Uh-oh. I'm sorry.
Here, share my screen.
Yes.
Share my screen so people can see the art on this and see why I'm marveling at this.
Okay. You would
here we go. You ready?
Oh yes, indeed. I've shown this many times, just on here, just showing how great it is. There you go.
Insane.
It's gorgeous, dude. This is some of the most amazing work. It's not if the movie would have been this.
I know, but that is off the hook. Look at that background. He didn't cheat on that. He didn't. Oh
no!
Holy
man, it was just unreal. I mean, they handed him the script. He said, "Okay, sure, I'll do this." Man was a genius. Is a genius. It's just that I couldn't get to him because he was talking to this dude in front of me at Dragon Con for like 30 minutes. All I want to do is buy a book.
Oh, really?
I wanted to buy a book. He's done this to 4 other friends I've talked to. Like, I just want to walk up and say, hey, I'm a big fan, and I want to buy that. He had a book that was even I was going to drop some. Wouldn't stop talking, dude. I was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Talker. Just push in. That's what I do. I mean, act like we do on Friday Night Tights. If somebody's in the middle of a sentence, who gives a shit? Just start talking.
I probably should have.
He sold his Foom cover, right? So there was Foom, and it was.
I have some of those.
Oh, dude, he's got a bunch of them, and they're still in the envelopes, right? So there's Hulk on the envelope.
Oh my god!
And he'll sign it. We bought it for like $70 or something like that. It was the best $70 I ever spent.
Oh, wow.
And I got to hang out with Jim Steranko, check out his toupee, and or maybe that's his hair. Like maybe he's got the craziest effing hair I've ever seen. I don't know. But he was cool as hell. I mean, it felt like I was talking to a 60s spy. It did. Like that's his persona, right?
Yes.
That I am like he is trapped in the 60s and he is a spy. And it was fucking cool.
He goes on Twitter and just hangs out there and has back and forth with a lot of people on Twitter. It's pretty cool. It's pretty funny. So yeah, I love the stuff.
Well, I mean, are you still getting the cons these days? Or are you just kind of done?
I haven't been to one. I used to go to for almost 20 something years straight. I went to Dragon Con every year, missing one because of a hurricane, but I haven't been since 2016. I go to the little ones now. You know, I like to go to the little ones sometimes because I can't really collect like I used to. But I got a lot of my friends here down on the Gulf Coast that are huge hardcore collectors. So when they have these like 1 or 2 day ones, we'll all meet halfway or something and just hit the comic shops after we get done with the con, and just they're hardcore. So hanging out with them, watching them just buy tons of stuff is always kind of fun.
That's the kind of convention I go to buy comics at. I don't buy comics at, like, I'm going to Dallas Fan Expo. I'm not going to buy a comic there.
They're expensive.
I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con. I haven't bought a comic at Comic-Con in 7 years. Yeah. You know? But those little ones in the Scottish Rite Centers or the Masonic temples, that's where I clean up. That's where I get busy.
Oh, the smaller shows, dude. Yes. That's so much fun.
I'm like done with I've got some 1/6 scales on order. As a matter of fact, one got delivered to San Diego today. I ordered it so fucking long ago. They delivered it to my house my old place in San Diego that I rented. So I had to call the person there and it's like, hey, sorry.
Oh my goodness.
I'll come and I'm going to be, in the area in a couple weeks. I'll come by and pick it up.
Oh man.
But I'm done with getting the 1/6 scale toys. And
really,
I'm just going to do comics now. Just comics, just
the Bronze Age.
Comics. That's it.
Stick with that. I think you can get the whole Bronze Age. You're gonna need a big space for it. You're gonna need a bigger boat. But
yeah, I got a closet. So over here, you can't see behind my Mystique banner. I have a closet, and then I have another closet inside the closet. That's where the comics I give a shit, like I really give a shit about, are here, and the other ones are spread between 2 storage facilities. Which one
oh my goodness, wow.
I've got to get that under control someday.
Bagging and the boarding, huh?
Yeah. I'll be bagging and boarding for a long time. And
you can you got a show for it, so you got a show dedicated to that. Do you still do that on that show? I'm in the daytime, I'm not around to see it as much.
I have
to watch it later, but
I didn't bag and board last week, but I'm going to bag and board this week for sure. And then next week I'm bagging and boarding my Fantastic Four, Clobby.
Oh, damn you, sir. In the 90s, that's my tragedy. I had to sell my FF collection, and I had a pretty good one. Not probably I've had yours, but
I've had to flip them, rebuy them. It sucked.
Oh,
it sucks. But now, like my justification to the why, which is great, is because this works so well with the missus, is like, these are investment for the kids. I'm not going to sell them. The kids could sell them. So I get to enjoy the comics, and they can have the headache of selling them when I'm dead. So
say, look, when I'm gone, I won't need them anymore. You do what you want.
I won't need them, but you can flip them or do whatever you want. But it's great. And it's to me, it's better than stocks or anything, especially I saved up, dude. It was in the 90s. So I'd been out of prison for like 4 years. So I was starting and I worked 2 jobs. One of them was $5 an hour. The other one was $7 an hour, but I was starting to like get a couple of bucks. And yes, back then you could make $5 and $7 an hour at 2 jobs and, buy a shitty car, live in a shitty apartment, and buy some comics once in a while. You too could do that. And I saved and I saved and I saved and I put on layaway and I bought Amazing Spider-Man #1 in VG condition for $900. $900. And it was a lot. That one, like, that's $1,000. That's like half my fucking paycheck. That's more than half of my paycheck. Yeah, that book is worth $15,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
easy.
It's crazy.
Holy crap!
So they're decent investments if you get the keys.
No, they are.
Yeah.
Although key collectors have ruined so much. Key collectors,
slabbing and
slabs,
restoration and pressing. Like,
yeah.
I'm not against pressing. Okay, I'm not against it. I think it's a way of, you're not really modifying the book. You're just pressing it. Is it cheating? Sure. But I think it's a legit way of cheating. But color touch, cover touch,
cheating.
Reconstructing books and then flipping them and seeing the prices on these, it's like, those are not the real books. And Graham, did you hear Graham talk about Superman #1? I did not know this. Holy shit. There's going to be so many pissed off people. Oh my God. So if you don't know, for those of you in the audience, and I did not know this, there's a second print of Superman #1 and possibly a third. Nobody knew this.
There is a third. I believe there's a third.
Oh, Graham would know. Graham would know. So, like, it wasn't believed that there was multiple printings of Superman #1. So anybody buying Superman #1 probably thought they bought a Superman #1, and and remember, it's not the first appearance of Superman. Action Comics is, but Superman #1 is still, like, Amazing Spider-Man #1 is not the first appearance of Spider-Man, but it's his first book. It's still a key. It's still worth lots of money. Superman #1 in mint condition, I don't even know what it would cost. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Tens of thousands of dollars. But not if it's second print. It'll still be worth money, but it won't be worth as much as a real #1. So imagine the people who bought them. They're probably so pissed.
Oh God. Oh man. No, they will be.
Yeah. And
they're
it's
like
the difference in the ad. It's a difference in an ad on the inside cover.
Yeah, I believe that happened a lot more than people would expect. Some older comics. And do you remember, those Treasury editions, or actually they weren't, Marvel called them Treasuries, DC didn't call them that, but those tabloid size Treasuries. I have a big Treasury and tabloid collection, not complete, though. I have a buddy of mine who does have a complete one, and it's amazing how much, and not just the Marvel and DCs, by the way. There were a lot of other ones.
Yeah, I have a complete Marvel one. I don't have a complete DC one.
I'm close to complete on both, but not quite.
But because they're affordable, like you can buy them and not go broke.
Not when I got them, they were cheaper in the 80s, but now,
well, yeah, when they were $1.
Yeah, but I mean, later, the most like 4 or 5 a pop in the 80s. Now they're stupid. They're still pretty.
Even when I first started my store, they were $20. You sell them for $20.
Yeah, that's a lot to me, but I know what you mean. But I mean, I'm talking about when I was able to go back and find all the ones I needed. It was in the 80s, so I got most of them anyway. But you remember the famous first editions that they did?
Yes,
ones, the DC ones, right? Well, a few years ago, I was messing around on YouTube. I landed on one of these channels where they go into houses that have been abandoned and they find stuff. And this was a brand new video that just popped up there. I didn't realize that these guys had found what they thought was Superman #1, not Action 1, the Superman one, because and what had happened, if you get one of those famous first editions of Superman #1, if you take the cardboard cover off.
Yep.
It's a replica inside, but it's bigger. It's the size of these guys didn't know that. They thought they'd had. So I wrote them a nice comment because I saw that. I don't know how I caught it. Just like maybe the thing wasn't an old video. And they wrote me back there. I told them, go to the comic shop. I told them that's a tab. I told them what it was because of the size. I saw it was sitting next to something. They put it down on the bed. They were excited. And I told them what it was. They had no way of knowing that. And they were appreciative of it because how would they know? I mean, most people. But it was crazy but they used to scam people with those. They used to try to scam people by taking those cardboard covers off and trying to sell those things in the 70s and 80s.
What about the Fantastic Four #1 that came inside the record? Yeah, people would try that, and that was comic book size. But there's no, I believe I have it. There's no price on it or something like that. There's a very distinct difference, but like to the novice, they wouldn't know. What was that? It was Power. It's not. It was a Golden Record.
It was Power Records. That's how I learned to read. Now, the one that the FF did that I had was The Way It Began. It was a retelling of the origin, but it was a reprint of FF 126. This is the one I had, though. That's how I learned to read those Power records.
So the Power, the first ones, I think they're Power, because I know Power were later, because they also did comic book size ones with the little 45s. But this one,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So the Fantastic Four one and the Spider-Man one, they're LPs. They're coming LPs, and they have like green, and it's got the little #1 on it and stuff. And that's the first time I heard the origin too. I actually heard the origin before I actually read it, because I don't think I could back then.
Me too. The Way It Began.
The way you began.
The Way It Began.
God, those are so good.
That's how I learned to read, dude. I would listen to those over and over again, because I was kind of learning disability classes and had problems. But those comic records, man, they would be like these little radio plays. And just you look at the page, you look at the words on the page, and you just kind of learn how to read that way. I had all the Power records. God, I love those, dude.
Best one is Mark of the Man-Wolf. Mark of the Man-Wolf.
Yes, had that.
So good.
They had that one. They had a Hulk one with an Abomination.
If you want to know who Peter Parker is, you read Mark of the Man-Wolf and his relationship with J. Jonah Jameson, because Spider-Man is, after J. Jonah Jameson's just tearing him apart, Spider-Man saves Jonah's son.
Yep, John Jameson. That's a classic.
And is a dick throughout the whole thing. And at the end, like J. Jonah Jameson's pleading with him, and Spider-Man's like, "Fuck you." Fuck you, dude. He doesn't say, I'll save it for the papers, Jonah. Save it for tomorrow. Because Peter gets bitter. That's the thing, is Peter gets really frustrated and bitter at times, because he's doing all this good. He's got this asshole writing writing his ass on the paper every day. Pay his fucking rent, and has to work for J. Jonah Jameson. And it's like, it's I think it encapsulates perfectly.
God, I love that era. And Spidey had so many great artists: Ditko, Ramita, Kane, Andrew. He started out with some of the best. Like when one great one left, another great one came on.
Yep.
For well over a decade. And so
well, Amazing Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and those books were good from the 60s to the early 2000s. I mean, like, arguably, Fantastic Four started fading and late 90s, when Marvel started fucking stuff up. We'll say late 90s. But they were good for like 3 solid decades of just a good run. Amazing Spider-Man, the main Batman book. I think Detective Comics kind of was inconsistent at times later. But the main Batman book, Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four were freaking fantastic. They were so good.
Oh,
and
man.
X-Men from Giant Size on was pretty brilliant too. So
I think I kind of dumped out of X-Men after a little while after Byrne left. I went back, kept going back and forth. But
I dumped out after Age of Apocalypse. I liked the crossover, but then I'm like, I'm out. It was just that's when, like, X-Men at the time, I mean, it's kind of funny now, but at the time it just felt like there was just freaking X-Men everywhere, and I'm like, I'm burnt out.
We're burning it out. Yep, a lot of people were burning out. Now on FF, for me, when I had that collection I had to unfortunately sell, I had an FF1 that was in horrible shape, but at least I had an FF1.
Dude, even in horrible shape would be worth thousands.
I had to have it. Yeah, and then so I had to sell them in the and it was a few gaps here between 1 and 80 something, but for the most part I had a good run. And I remember cutting it off after like 260 something, because I liked Byrne's first couple of years. After that, he started doing things that aggravated me, so I kind of weeded out some of that stuff. But anyway, when I sold it, I did keep one, I kept my Fantastic Four #1 because I had Jack sign it, and I wasn't going to get rid of that one. So
Oh,
that was,
no.
of course, one of the greatest comics ever made. This Man, This Monster, #51.
Oh,
I love that comic so much, dude.
We'll be bagging those. I'll be bagging and boarding.
Oh man,
I'm not bringing 1 through. I might show off 1, but I'm not bringing 1 through 10 in. I'll be doing like 11 and up. But
oh god, that'll
11
be
to 3.
torture in a good way, though, man. Love it, dude. Love it. But as long as those comics are preserved in some kind of fashion, you know, if I can read them in any way, the important thing is the comic, the art, and the story.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. That's where the omnibuses come in.
Yes.
And if you can get them at half price books, or you go, what online place you go to? It's called
In Stock Trades is pretty cheap.
In Stock Trades. That's
I
right.
like them. Yeah. They got some cheap stuff. And then, of course, every now and then you can find they have places like stores like Second and Charles and down here. I don't know if you got them down your way, but
We got
they
half
do
price
have some
books.
there. Oh, yeah. I wish we had that. Oh, man.
Half
They
price
got-
is good.
They have a place in Tennessee that our buddy Mark able to see, our chief engineer here, he went to and took pictures. It was a place just a couple of months back. I forget the name of it now. You have to remind me of the name, but it's 3 times the size of any of these like half price books or Second and Charles,
Ooh.
and he found not just figures, old albums, old books, old comics, old everything. It's just the place was what is the name of that place? Damn it, Mark. Yeah, there you put the link in the chat. McKay's there are a couple of them. I forgot.
Where
Somewhere
that
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay.
Where about Nashville? He went to Nashville, but there are a couple of them. He took pictures. He was there all day. That's a place. It's like 2 football fields, man. I could go in there and live there all day.
Migo. More show and tell. Migo, I guess, has a 50th anniversary. How does that make you feel?
Oh my goodness, you kidding me? I bought the. Oh, dude, they never.
This is brand new. Like, yeah,
He's got that. Oh shit.
I was walking out of the comic store and this is like an impulse. It was standing right there. I'm like,
man,
shit! Look at that. It's in the box
love
and everything. I freaking
that's beautiful.
love it. And they had like old school, like they have the original molds. So they had a Joker and a Riddler and a Penguin, but I have all those, right? But I didn't have a Reverse Flash. And then this isn't 50th anniversary. You're not going to care, but they did Batman Beyond.
No, I like Batman Beyond though. That's pretty
Fucking
cool.
awesome.
Very cool.
You probably really won't care about this one, but they did a Henry Cavill Superman.
Why would they do that? You know, just puts it almost looks like a real costume if they put his damn trunks on.
They got to put the trunks on, dude. Like,
Trunks on.
it looks so lame without the trunk. It's like, it looks worse. There's a reason they put the trunks on. Okay.
Yes, it breaks things up.
I love like sure, we can have a red cape and a giant S on his chest, but we're drawing the line at the red trunks.
Yeah, trunks are. I haven't decided who looks worse without trunks, Batman or Superman. Batman might arguably look worse without the trunks. I mean,
He does
because of the gray. I think he does.
It's the gray. I mean, like you might as well make his costume back. That was my biggest complaint about Burton's Batman. Like, why is his costume all black? Okay, great, you got the bat right, but
yeah, I hate it.
Why is his costume all black? And they just never get it right. They never fucking. I know you're with me. Every time I see a Batman movie, I'm like, that's not Batman.
They can't do it right. Only fans do it right, like in that crazy ass Batman Dead End or something.
Batman Dead End is the shit. It is so good, but the animated series is the best. The Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie.
It is the only great Batman movie that's ever played on a movie screen, in my opinion. I got to see it twice at the theater before they took it away. I bring my kids to it too, so I got to bring my kids to see it. They were young, but oh my dude, that is the greatest Batman. Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh, so
beautiful. Good. Yep, absolutely. Now again, if I had my way, Gary, I would say, you know what, you guys can make all the stupid live action crap you want. If you would make animated stuff for me, I know I'm old, but animation's sort of the closer cousin to comics, and there've been some really great stuff, but they won't do it anymore. They ruined the DC animated movies for the most part. For me, I did watch one recently that I sort of like, but I hate when they started doing the Screw 52 and Flashpoint and that kind of crap. I checked out of those.
Yep.
We lost Earth's Mightiest Heroes to that terrible Avengers Assemble years
Oh,
ago.
that was such a good,
So
freaking
good
cartoon.
It was like the counterpart to Tim's Justice League show. It was the Marvel version. It was that good, and we lose it because of some jackass decided to do Avengers Assemble. And like, you know what? I'd make a deal with these guys. You want to do what silly crap you want with the live actioners, which I've liked some of them, like you have liked some, you've liked others. If you did just more animated stuff, man, I just like, hey, do an animated adaptation of Kingdom Come, do an animated adaptation of Justice by Alex Ross, or some do some Kirby looking FF stuff in animation form. I'd take it, and I wouldn't need any damn live action movies, but that's just me. I like animation, so
I do too. When it's like, well, I missed I was just I was talking about Fire and Ice the other day, and I went and watched it, and I'm like, God dang, I miss shit like that. I miss basketball stuff. I do. I like that's the kind of stuff I liked, and they don't do it anymore. And we were just talking about heavy metal. Metal Hurlant. It's freaking great. It was a great magazine that I did not like. The heavy metal movie.
Oh, so good,
dude! I watched that thing 100 times. It would be playing in theaters, especially in my teenage years.
Right.
It'd be playing in theaters. You could all, everybody get fucking stoned out of their mind or high as fuck and go see the heavy metal movie. I listened to the soundtrack all the time, had the VHS, watched it all the time. Oh, I miss stuff like that.
I do too. I remember they would play that at midnight movies.
Yeah.
Remember those? Yeah.
Well, there'd be like Rocky Horror, right? They get Rocky Horror Shock Treatment, which was the sequel that nobody knows about, and heavy metal, and Little Shop of Horrors. After that came out, that became a midnight movie too. So
even down here, we got some of that stuff, some of those midnight movies and things. So I say that because this is Louisiana, we don't get much. We get some stuff though.
You get some. It's not like you're in the damn boonies. Come on.
Yeah, well, we kind of are. We're like but that's what I'm saying. So my comic shop, and when we started them, either the ones I've worked in, or the ones I owned, or whatever, there was one thing I would consider lucky for me is that was an amazing time for the direct sales market. It was the beginning of the direct sales market, and in the early '80s, and when a lot of exciting stuff was coming out, really challenging the big two. And I was wondering if you have any favorite stuff from back then. I mean, as far as like some of the stuff throughout the '80s that was not Marvel or DC, because I love stuff like John Sable and Grimjack and even Star Slayer and Rocketeer. Rocketeer's greatness.
Like pretty much almost anything Pacific Comics I was buying.
Yeah.
I was just fascinated by Pacific. For one, it was something different, and it was from San Diego. So I'm like, this is cool. And the Rocketeer was one. And yeah, I remember when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. And when the Ninja Turtles came out, I was all about the Ninja Turtles. That was freaking great. The comic book, not the cartoon, the comic book.
Of course.
But yeah, like I was really in the Rocketeer, but we'd only get a couple, and they were so damn inconsistent. That was the thing.
Look, Dave Stevens, God bless him, and what a tragic, lost him too soon. He did take quite a bit of time getting that book out, but it was great.
They just did a documentary on him. Well, I don't know if it's out yet.
Really?
Oh yeah, a person who I do a live stream with gave me their password to a documentary, and I watched it. And it was amazing. So it might be out now because I watched it like 3 months ago.
Oh, I would love to see that when it comes out.
It's really fucking good, and it's sad. Oh, it's so.
He was a nice guy too. He was really cool to us when we met him. And that's a shame, man. It's just too soon. And I remember he was being he was under assault by Marvel. They were trying to sue him in the '80s.
Why was Marvel trying to sue him?
Because what happened was, well, Marvel, at that time, Jim Galton, Jim Shooter, those guys were quite litigious, you should say. And they decided when they didn't give a crap when he was just the comic was just coming out in the back of Star Slayer or whatever. But when it started to gain some traction and get some popularity, and there was talk of a movie deal and stuff in the mid 60s, 80s, they started going after him. Now, at a con in Dallas Fantasy Fair in 1986, the great Bern Hogarth was at a panel that also featured Jack Kirby and Will Eisner and Frank Miller and Gary Groth, and they were talking about how he had spoken with Dave Stevens, and he said that they were suing him over the Rocketeer because there was an earlier comic. It was a Marvel Premiere or something issue where there was the Torpedo, this character called Torpedo, his former Daredevil villain that became a hero.
Yes,
and he fought this Rocketeer type gang. They were called Rocketeer Gang or something, and they were trying to go after him, the sleazy bastards. And then a friend of mine who's in the chat there, who's a good friend of mine, we'd heard about that at that con, right? So he went. He thought he remembered a comic book many years previous, and it turns out there was a Batman comic or a detective issue. I forget the issue number now. He did some research. He found the comic and said there was a Rocketeer gang in that. So Marvel wasn't the first one. He called up the Comics Journal and said, he said, you guys, he told them about it. Said, can you send that to us? They said, well, don't you have a comic shop you can go grab it? They didn't. So my friend who was in the chat there, Minimus, Claude Parrish is in there. He sent it to the Comics Journal, and they got in touch, I believe, with Dave Stevens' lawyers, and that was that. So crazy.
What a bunch of dicks.
Absolute dicks. Marvel. They were Marvel. They were so weird story, but yeah, that kind of crap happened a lot actually back then. Well, remember the big lawsuit between Marvel and not Marvel, Comics Journal and Harlan Ellison. That was a fun one that Marvel was suing both of them. I love the Comics Journal. I love all those comics fanzines, fan mags.
Oh, they were great. That's all we had for the longest time.
Basic Heroes, Comics Journal, Comics Scene. Oh, dude. And remember they were suing Harlan Ellison?
Yeah, Harlan would.
They were suing the Journal, but Dan Ellison.
Yeah, Harlan Ellison's not going to lose a lawsuit. That guy would have he would have burned his own house down before lose a lawsuit.
Well, they were suing the Comics Journal for putting an interview with him in it. So yeah. That was fun.
He was a crazy dude, but he helped a good friend of mine before he passed away.
Oh, he was great.
And he
was crazy, man. Yeah, he helped a lot of people. He just was a rough one.
Yeah, he just fought for the little guy. That's what he did. So he took a fee, but if you had a plagiarism lawsuit, especially for a script, he would look it over for you give him $1,000. He'd look it over and tell you if you had a case because he had won a multiple plagiarism lawsuit. So he became kind of an expert in it in the intellectual property. I think that's I don't think that's a bad idea. Like before we hire a bunch of lawyers, give Harlan Ellison $1,000.
Yeah.
His time's worth that much money. It is. I mean, he's probably giving to you a discount, and he'd tell you you got a case here, and he did that with my friend. He's like, no, sue them for everything they have, and he did. He didn't get everything they had. He got a good settlement though. He got a good
nice.
Yeah.
My friend Claude, by the way, that Stevens story said I actually met Stevens and told him what I did. He just said, "Thanks, man." That was good enough for me. He said, that's what happened. Yeah.
Dave Stevens was. I was so sad when he died. Man.
Oh man, yeah, great talent.
I mean, didn't do enough comic artists, but his comic art was some of the best ever.
Brilliant art, and he gave the 80s a look at Betty Page because he and Greg Theakston did that Betty Pages, and he brought her back in the Rocketeer, and then that. So I mean, gave that lady
with her.
He became friends with her, and he gave that lady some extra income at that time and things like that.
Did.
And
when she
very good of him.
Yeah.
Good man. So yeah. Well, I tell Gary this is a weird one here, but we have another thing in common about something that we both gave up, and that's the NFL.
Oh yeah.
You and your San Diego Chargers, me and my New Orleans Saints, and probably I don't know about the same. You were for a better reason than me because I could not even imagine what it would feel like to have your team leave on you like that. But
it's gut wrenching. Especially horrible. When you have memories of your father who died, and that was your connection throughout life was going to Padre and Charger games with my dad. It was absolutely. It takes your soul away. So that's when I was done. I just, I pop in with the Padres because they're not going anywhere, but they've always sucked. But they're I pop in because I still enjoy baseball, but I lived and breathed the NFL. I loved it as much as I loved anything. I know it might come as a surprise to some people because I don't talk about sports ball that much, but dude, I was watching ESPN every fucking day, keeping up with the Chargers. I went down to the stadium, watched drafts. I was a season ticket holder that carried over from my dad, who was an original Charger season ticket holder from when they were originally in LA. So we had this priority, and we'd go to events, and I watched damn near every game, every playoff game they ever went to the Super Bowl. Like, I loved the Chargers, but the minute they, like, you could see it coming, and I fucking hate Dean Spanos. And when they left, I was done. I was like, I'm done with the NFL. Never want to see it again. And haven't watched. I watch it by accident, maybe if I'm at a sports bar eating or something. But I haven't watched a fucking second of it. Don't care.
You're better off, man.
So why did you leave the Saints? Who got my Drew Brees? Who I loved.
Dude, when I tell you I loved, the only thing I loved as much as my geek stuff, my Star Trek, my Doctor Who, my comics, was NFL and NFL history. And of course, you can't love the NFL without having a team. As you know, my team was my beloved New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees was my hero. And in 2020, he broke my heart and chased me away from Bubba doing some, I'm not going to get political here, but he embraced certain political stances and did something pretty
during
crappy.
When our cities were burning down and stuff. And
he wore something on his helmet at practice that was in solidarity with a horrible criminal. And just to kick ass.
Yeah.
And
I left the NFL after that.
You told me before that there would be a time when the NFL, that whole chunk of that year, even as crappy as I don't like any of the modern day NFL players in terms of they're the spoiled brats and all this other kind of stuff. They're not like the old. I still every Sunday, man, it was big to me. I mean, I just the Saints playing. I don't care how bad they were, whatever. And he gave us the greatest, better prosperity we ever had. Saints were garbage before that. Gave us a Super Bowl. And with Drew Brees in the game, you always had a chance. He became a great Hall of Famer. He was my superhero. And when he did that, something broke inside. I'm like, I can't watch anymore. And, like you, I'll sit there and watch now. After a couple of years, I'll sit there and watch a little bit. And I'll be like, this is weird. This is such a part of my life before. I wouldn't miss a second. Now I could forget a game is on. And they go, oh, they're playing, huh? Whatever. I'll watch it.
That's terrible. I think he got pressured into it because, like, the Drew Brees I knew from San Diego wasn't like that. Wasn't like that. Dude was based.
Yeah.
So
I forget. I love the guy, man. I still love him, but
people change. People got he almost like he did call some stuff out. I can't remember. Then he got just shot the fuck down.
He did.
That was such bullshit and the NFL lost a lot over that. That's why they shut up after 2 years.
Yeah.
And then Sean Payton getting like hooked on killers and stuff. What the I mean, that could happen to anybody. It's sad.
He's a problem.
Well, hey, to tell you how dumb he might be a problem, but he was a good coach, right? So the Chargers had a chance to get him this year if they would have dumped their new coach. And my son's telling me because unfortunately my son's still a huge NFL fan.
I understand. I don't know how he feels.
And he's all, I want to get Sean Payton. We can get Sean Payton. I'm all, Dean Spanos. Is the current coach under contract? And he said, yeah, I'm all, Dean Spanos will never fire him, even if he had, Joe Lombardi coming back to coach the team. He wouldn't get rid of a current coach that he under contract because Dean Spanos is broke. He has no fucking money. They didn't get Sean Payton like they wanted to, and they're stuck with some idiot. Like we got stuck with Norv Turner. I hated Norv Turner.
If he ever needs to be consoled about Payton, I can tell him some reason. I can give him a good case why you probably didn't want Payton, but I understand. But Norv Turner was another one of those appeasers. Like he was like the parent that gives his kids ice cream for dinner. He was not a coach. He was a coordinator,
a good coordinator, a decent coordinator when he had a right coach. But
he wasn't Marty.
Wasn't Marty? Yeah. I fucking loved Marty. I loved him to death, and he was the best coach. I would say, aside from Coryell, second best coach.
Eric Coryell would be the best.
I like Bobby Ross, but Bobby Ross kind of like was good for 3 years, and that's about it. But no, I loved Marty to death. I'm so sad to hear he's got Alzheimer's, but Marty was the fucking man.
Yeah, I love him. I love that guy.
Yeah, hey, Dempsey was like the only thing the Saints had forever was your 63-yard field goal.
And then we had to lose that. I met he was a nice guy. I knew him a little bit.
I went to my high school.
Oh, really? Wow. I met him a couple
One of the
times.
three
Nice
I
fellow.
went to. He went to San Diego High School in Encinitas.
Oh, and that got passed by a guy in Denver, so it doesn't count. But
dude, home runs don't count in Denver.
That doesn't count.
I don't think anything counts in space. When you're playing in fucking space,
Exactly.
it doesn't count. Okay.
And I apologize to everyone for the sports ball talk. It won't happen again. I did.
We're done. We're actually done. I'm a bit like Fern Lover.
Yes.
But fuck Dean Spanos, and I hope the Chargers
hell with them.
go to LA and lose as long as they did in San Diego.
They will. They're in the any teams playing in the same place. When two teams play in the same place, I think that's just ugh.
One is always going to suck. One is always going to be a joke. And the Chargers are now the Jets. There you go.
They actually do have a good quarterback, but still. Yeah.
The Chargers, yes, they.
Yeah,
my
he
son
is a
told
good
me
quarterback.
he's good, but
not the best, but he's the top. He's in the top 10.
They put him in the. You know what really pissed me off is we wanted him in their powder blues forever, and Spanos.
Those are the greatest uniforms, dude.
He refused to do it because he didn't want to get San Diego anything until we gave him a stadium. I will give my hometown, which is LA South, and they're shit now, but I give them credit for not bending over for the NFL and telling them to fuck off. Taxpayers should not pay for stadiums. End of story. These guys are billionaires. Fucking buy your own stadium. You'll make a money. So.
Absolutely, totally with you there, man. And dude, I've kept you for a long time, so I'll only ask you one other question, and then I'll do the super chats because I know you're a busy man. But there's there's zillions I'd like to ask. Everyone wants to ask you questions, Gary. That's just your lot in life. You got to deal with that with the rest of your life. People want to ask you things.
Okay,
you just got to deal with it, man.
I'm grateful.
I got you. Another thing that we both love that has been ripped out of our guts and driven under a truck over and over again. We both have a few of those like that we share, and a big one is something called Doctor Who. This is the 60th. I have been a Doctor Who fan for over 41 years, I guess. How long? How did you get started with Doctor Who? How long have you been a fan?
Oh God, I'd say 80s. I became a fan because of Douglas Adams. So, but the only doctor I really saw was the Fourth Doctor. And whatever they repeated on PBS. So I was a fan. So I liked it as much as I liked Star Trek back in the 80s. So it was became mega fan later. In the dark area when there was no fucking Doctor Who. There's absolutely nothing. That's when I started becoming a mega fan. Because I just started reading the books and the old comic books.
Yes.
And, listening to, they started, Audio Adventures started in the, 2000s. When am I right there? Whenever I got access to them. And then once I started going to more cons and had a little more coin and I can buy VHS of older doctors and starting. So what revitalized me was, I can see this shit in order now. Oh, great.
Yes.
But my gateway was Douglas Adams, was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Love it.
And I still feel like they occupy the same space. Like Hitchhiker is a Doctor Who side story. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's what it is. And it introduced me to everything British, right? So right around the same time, started watching Faulty Towers, Monty Python, Benny Hill, all that's just public access television here gave us public broadcasting back when they weren't such a biased political organization. They showed us TV that was good. So that's how I got into it. That's how I became a huge fan.
I first saw him in Starlog. One of the Starlog books. Remember those?
Yes.
And or heard about it, but then we got it on TV down here, and just started seeing Tom Baker, Genesis of the Daleks, on a very snowy picture on my TV, my little bitty black and white TV from a Mississippi station. They could barely watch it. Hey, that's that show I read about. What is Doctor? What are those things? But man, then we got it a couple weeks later here, and started reading up about it in Starlog a little bit. and everyone just went nuts. Boy, Doctor Who in the 80s in the US, man. What a phenomenon. The shop I was running at the time, we started selling the merch and everything.
No, it did really. I mean, I'm not going to say it caught. It was a niche that caught on. Like, even everybody knew who Tom Baker Doctor Who was. And that was probably, I mean, I don't know. I was young. So there might be some people older who will remember John Pertwee, but like I never heard of Doctor Who until the Fourth Doctor was around, and because of PBS, and I remember the first episode. It wasn't the first; it was like the second part of the Leisure Hive or whatever. Yeah,
Baker's last season,
and it was weird. It was just a weird.
It is a weird one.
Weird, and
I
but
love it.
yeah, it was early 80s, and but I saw all this shit out of order, and didn't care, didn't know what was going on.
Yes, indeed. Hey, Tom. Yeah, we're not nerds, we're geek. Well, I'm a geek, he's a nerd. We'll take nerds.
Whatever. Yeah. We're both.
So what is the year of your birth? Is because you're not the reason. I have a reason. Is it 9? Oh, I got it wrong. Okay. Would you like? Do you know what comic books came out the year you were born?
I am aware.
The month you were born.
The month I have no idea.
Would you like to see them?
Yeah, I would.
This is a dumb thing I do to people just to mess with people. Here you go. I don't know if you're familiar. I love this site. This is one of my favorite places ever. Mike's Amazing World, the newsstand site. These are the comics that were out.
I know what movies came out, but
these are the comics that came out, dude. Let's see what great comics came out that Gary was born. Man, see all these Charlton and all these Archie comics, and there's a Flash Gordon. Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's when I would pick up. I'd pick up Popeye, Ghosts,
Jetsons.
I probably would if it was like all I had. Horror Tales, I definitely get. I didn't touch Archie. I was like,
no, me either.
Archie.
Well, look at all the TV tie-ins though, like Jetsons and
Huckleberry Hound. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at all these romance comics.
I know my son was just asking me. He's like, "Did people read those?" I'm all, "Yeah." Girls used to be like, they used to sell a lot, like in the millions.
I was doing this thing called Spinner Rack Time Machine where I would show all the comics each month from going back each year, and I wasn't being mean, but I was kind of making fun of some of these titles. And I had some invariably someone going, "Well, no, I bought that comic. What are you making fun?" I'll Davy Crockett comic. Yep, Davy Crockett. Davy Crockett. King of the World Frontier. I love that. I love that song. I love that.
Captain America 119. I have that. There's Falcon.
Yep, Captain America. The Falcon's on there.
Look at that with his green costume on.
Oh my goodness,
that's a good
Gene
book.
Gene
Colan. The Soul Falls.
Look at the Phantom. Oh my goodness, it's like Jim Aparo Phantom, I think, or no, it might be Pat Boyette. But anyway, there's a Spidey annual. See, what a time, man! You have a great month, dude. Some cool stuff. I mean, look, you got Doctor Strange.
Submariner.
You got Subby. You got FF annual.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, look at the Superman and Flash, dude.
Oh,
great Kurt Swan cover, Murphy Anderson cover. Wow.
So, I have so much shit. This first world problems, folks. Sorry, I have so much shit that there's stuff that was in the basement of my store that I haven't looked at since I put it there. So we're talking 2003. So I find a portfolio, and I open it, and it's a bunch of my art. I illustrate. I'm okay. You'll never see it, but I'm okay. But mixed in with the art, I find my signed Bob Kane Batman head sketch.
Wow.
And a Kurt Swan full Superman sketch.
Oh man.
Yes. Like together. And I'm like, they're just fucking buried in a portfolio that I'm like, I thought we lost these. So Melissa got them, is getting them framed. I'm so stoked about that. I'm just like, I was so happy to find those because I've lost so much shit. You have no idea how much stuff I lost. So to find something, I'm like, oh,
that is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
You got Kirby. You got Kirby Thor, by the way.
Oh shit!
Bonanza.
Dark
Shadows.
Look, Captain Marvel. It's Marvel. It's
Marvel time. Gil
Marvel.
Kane, Marvel. Love it. Spidey, Avengers. What a month you have, man. Look at that. World's
Captain Marvel, underrated book, dude. It was a good book.
Yes.
A long time for not a long time, but like, dude, Starlin's run is all time. All time.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh,
It's incredible. We just Nick's show on Nick's comic show. We all reviewed his Starlin's Warlock run. We're gonna hit Captain Marvel soon. So,
dude, there's Metal Man.
this is for you here, buddy. Daredevil.
Oh, look at that one.
Is he? Would you say didn't you once say he's your favorite character?
My favorite character right now. Yes,
I love him. Man. And I did a show a couple of years back covering the pre-Miller Daredevil. 16 years of him being just a happy-go-lucky superhero that teamed up with Spider-Man.
blind guy. But the stories were good. There were still.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason that book stuck around for so long. But it was also it was such a great time because you had Alan Moore take a swing at Swamp Thing, which was such a weird move, and you had Frank Miller take a swing at Daredevil, which are mid-tier characters at the best, but you had these up-and-coming writers take chances with them, but not subvert expectations. Like,
no.
Take the character that you knew and just put them in different environments as that character, giving them a little more complexity. Of course, Daredevil being a Catholic, I think that's huge. That was a great move to really play into his Catholicism and and Swamp Thing, just making him just fucking weird because he's weird. I love Bernie Wrightson stuff. I do. Bernie Wrightson's a goat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And both books were on the verge of cancellation.
Yes, they were.
I mean, Daredevil had gone bi-monthly when Miller got him.
Hey, dipping down to like 700,000 copies being printed.
Yeah. Yeah, only about 700,
600.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Way down to 500,000. It's like, yeah.
Exactly. Not a whole lot, man. What are you going to do? Man, look at all these. I'm not knocking them. I get in trouble sometimes. I like those. Look, that's fine. Look, it's good that kids were reading a lot of,
dude,
they had comics for kids, man. That's cool.
Casper. Hell
Casper,
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Monsters right there. Monsters on the right there on the bottom left.
Oh, yeah. Famous Monsters of Filmland. Yeah. I met Forey Ackerman once. Great guy.
Yep.
Vampirella.
Number 2.
Oh, was it really number 2? Holy crap.
Yeah, it's number 2. I
was only ever able to look at it on the drugstore.
So, okay, that Silver Surfer run, 1 through 18, is so fucking good. It's so good. And they canceled it.
Yeah, it didn't sell quite enough, dude.
It didn't catch on, but
no.
I was obsessed with the Silver Surfer forever.
Oh, look at all these Adams covers, man. Jesus. Neil Adams was doing a lot of covers at this point.
Yeah, he was.
Gunsmoke. So the year you were born the month you were born was a good.
Awesome. That's an awesome site. I'll have to show that.
It's
BBC. What's this?
Let me send. I can send it to you in the Twitch box or something like that if you want.
Yeah. Send it to me and I'll give you full credit, but we'll go over the real BBC.
Nothing necessary, but I'm gonna send you the page, just a link to that page there in your chat and in the DM over there to Twitter. So yeah, I use it all the time. It's a great research site and just always fun for just playing around. Oh, I did it twice. Oh, there you go. That's your month there. It's like, so yeah. Dude, and that's a fun site. We use it a lot, and we show, like, sometimes we'll just pick a month random and go talk about all the books that came out that month and remembering them and stuff. And I have a thing. I don't know about you, but and you have to have it the same as I do. You've looked at so many comic books in your life, which you've owned a lot of them. Sometimes if I look at an old one and it's in my head so much because I've seen it for so many times, I mean, like, I had that. And then I'll go, or did I just sell that? Maybe I didn't actually buy. Did I buy? Now I'm wondering, did I buy that comic, or I'm just remembering it so much because I was handled it so many times?
That's why you got to I think there's some good inventory apps now, but there was I basically just used my point of sale purchase, and I was able to use my scanning gun to do my own comic collection. So I had the store inventory and my own personal one, and then I don't know where the fuck it is. So now I'm buying doubles, dude. It's to the point where it's like I have to kind of stop buying comics because you talked about Avengers Annual number 10.
Yes.
I've got 4 fucking copies. I bought it 4 other times thinking I didn't have it. It's like, okay, 4 times. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, it's that's what I do now too. I'm like, do I have it? Is it in that closet? If it's not in that closet, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. That's
Well, I understand that for sure.
I don't want to go crazy. I went crazy.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've never had a lot of money. Like, I've always been like very blue collar, lower middle class guy since I was, my dad did well like later, but that was way after he kicked me out of the house. So, and I was fine with it. I was never a person who like needed to be rich. I just like collect stuff, and the harder it was, the more fun it was. Does that make any sense? Like, I had to be very creative. Yes. I had to trade stuff. I had to sell stuff, and it was super fun. But once I got the store, I had access to I had people walking in with Daredevil #1. So it became too easy. So I had to really like check myself, and I got in a lot of. That was the first time I got in trouble with credit and stuff, and it's like, I made all the mistakes you make, right?
Of course.
And had to resell that stuff. But it was fun. I really enjoyed collecting back then, and now it's like Jeremy's talked about this, and I totally agree with him. Like, I'll go on eBay to get sets or to get stuff I don't give a crap about, but back issue comics, for the most part, I've got my list. I do have a list of things I clearly don't have. I'm 90% sure it's good, and that is for going to cons. End of story. Nice. I don't go on eBay. I could clear it up on eBay whenever I wanted, but that's not fun. That's not fun at all.
Yeah,
I'd rather buy it from human, give it to a nice guy or gal, give him the money. It's way more fun.
There's nothing like you scoring that at a shop or the con, like you say, either one or whatever. It's a show, and you go, oh God, man, need that, and then you never seem to run out that way. You're always going to find something,
right?
And you usually find it depends on what the pricing's like, but yeah.
I don't know if you had before we go, like, I don't know if you had retailer summits, but like the most fun thing to do as a comic shop owner was get together with the other retailers and just talk shop, because we're the only ones who give a fuck about the ins and outs of comic book retailing. Nobody cares. Our wives don't care. Our brothers, our sisters don't care. Exactly. So we get together and we talk for hours about Diamond, blah, 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 but like, and talk like this. I miss that. That was like tons of fun. Met a lot of really fucking cool people. And that's why I like going to cons, because I like to talk to either who's a con retailer, or they have a brick and mortar or their website, but I still get to talk to them and talk shop and find out how much has changed, how much really hasn't. Those were good times. I don't know if you ever met Rory Root, who okay, so he had Comic Relief. Weird guy. Totally weird. But it was a big comic store in Berkeley, so he was a Berkeley guy, but he was a comic guy. He was like through and through a comic guy. Through all of his bloviating and weirdness, I learned so much from that dude. That guy was a retail genius. And then my good friend Jamie Newbold. If you're ever in San Diego, Clobby, you got to go to Southern California Comics.
Oh, it is I'd love to
comic fans comics. It is a comic collector's comic store. That's what it is. It is.
D-Butts met him, by the way. D-Butts met Rory. There you go.
Oh, Rory. Yeah, Rory. Yeah, Rory was a larger than life. He passed away. He wasn't in shape. Went and got like a basic surgery and died on the operating table. Very sad. But Jamie Newbold is, I think, he's an ex-cop from San Diego. I'm pretty sure he swears he didn't, but like, I'm pretty sure he arrested me, or at least booked me in a jail.
Wow.
At one time. But he retired and became a comic shop owner. We became friends, and he taught me how to grade, like really, like gave me a full on lessons on how to do it. Because I'm like, dude, I don't know how to fucking grade. Like, how do you grade? So he taught me how to grade, and taught me the ins and outs of the business. And I think he's probably one of the best comic book retailers in the country. So if you ever get a chance, go meet Jamie.
I would love to do that. I had to learn to grade on the fly back in the 80s, because at that time grading was very crude, and there was nothing really It was just different. Obviously, there was no one to teach you anything. You just had to try to learn it the best you could, really.
Yeah,
back then.
Once you, I mean, through osmosis at the shop, you can figure it out. I mean, it's subjective though. Like CGC is subjective as hell. It's whoever's in the, I'm not the biggest fan of slabbing. I've got slab books.
Yeah.
But I'll look at a book and just go, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's fucking wrong. It's just, I know, especially I know the difference between like a 1.5 and like a fine minus or no grade. Like it's getting really murky with CGC right now, because I've seen some 1.5s out there. I'm like, those are no grades. Those are not 1.5s. Those are not in a million years. But I think it's getting because there is, as bad as comics are doing right now, there is a massive boom in slabbed books and back issues, as we predicted would happen, because people are looking to the past and they're a pretty good investment. Plus, they're good stories. There's this Whatnot app that's a streaming auction app that comic shops are using to do live auctions, which is a great idea, by the way. Fucking great idea. That's actual innovation that I am down with. Doing it in their store. But the thing is, like, you start slabbing everything. I mean, remember what happened to baseball cards and sports cards?
Yeah. Yep.
Same thing. Once these become things you cannot read and they're just cards, then like, what's the point? What's the fucking point? Like Marvel key issues, totally get it. Rando, I was looking at like, somebody had slabbed an Ultimate Spider-Man 41. I'm like, why?
Oh,
God. Why would you do that?
Man,
it increases the value by $5. Who cares? Spend that on something you'll do. I mean, like, I get it, slab your keys, but don't. I saw some guy selling it. I've got an entire Daredevil Frank Miller run slabbed. Who the fuck wants that? Where are you gonna hang it? Like, who would want that?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man.
I don't either.
I will never have anything slabbed, that's for sure.
Nope.
Oh my goodness. We got some super chats here. If you mind, I'll run through these really quickly.
Okay.
I've never. We have the great Nick Weiser, of course, became a member. He is the man. Nicholas, gotta love that guy. It's an awesome dude. And then he sends a super chat and says, "Thank you." He says, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Huge.
He likes that word.
It wasn't huge, Nick. You not going to Vegas. That wasn't huge, buddy.
Yeah, Nick, what the
hell, dude?
Pansy? Why didn't you go to Vegas?
I think he's kind of turned into a little bit of a pansy, if you want to ask me.
Look, Nick,
I'm going to call out his manhood. Whatever I have to do to manipulate you to get to Vegas next time, dude.
And he probably eats store-bought frozen pizza. He probably eats frozen pizza now.
Hey, as long as there's pineapple on it, I'm down. Yeah.
So what side of that is he on, by the way? Is he a pineapple, yes or no? Because I'm indifferent. As long as someone puts pineapple on mine, I don't care who it's.
What side are you on, Nick? Are you on my side or somebody else's side?
Whose side are you on? That would be telling. We want information.
Tom, Kit Kat cereal sounds awesome if I was like stoned.
Kit Kat, what?
Kit Kat.
Oh, there is.
He is.
There
if there's
is Kit Kat cereal.
That does sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good.
Well, there's Reese's something cereal.
There is Reese's cereal, and I don't eat it because I like it.
Yes, that's a good reason.
Okay,
Same here.
Lisa, you're my friend. D. Bud Martin, we're not friends. We can't be friends. You don't like pizza. I'm just kidding.
Is it okay if we don't mind anyone else eating it, but we don't eat it ourselves? Because I don't understand why they would be offended someone else eating it. Of course, there's a certain individual here, my friend Mark D. with the C, our chief engineer, who eats clam pizza, and one, you wouldn't eat that, would you?
Are you okay?
Thank you.
Did he have a stroke or something?
Mark D, you eat. See, finally, he takes a lot of shit over it. Matt G says, thank you, Matt G. You're too kind. Thank you for that. He says, I've been waiting for Gary to comment on Evil Dead Rise. I think the movie is solid, and it has made money unlike many films today. Have you seen that one, Gary?
I have not. I've heard people like it and good. Okay. But for me, no Ash, no Evil Dead.
Yes. Groovy,
baby.
Give me some sugar, baby. No, without Ash, what do you why are you here? So sorry, Matt G, but he has not seen it yet. But if he ever does, I'm sure he will give a
both
good
side Evil Dead movies that decided to do it with females instead because that's super original.
Of course.
I turned out by all accounts to be pretty good movies. No Ash, no Evil Dead.
No, I can stand by that. That I think who couldn't what if you can't stand behind that, you're probably a flaming communist or something. I mean, let's be honest. I wonder if
you're a communist, by the way. I said, why did I say? I said Mark. Oh my God, Mark would say Clobby.
Oh yes.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I see Mark. Fuck.
Which Mark?
Mark C. Our late Mark C.
Or the late Mark C. Yeah, that's why that's why Mark D with a C and Mark C are two.
Yeah, and then there's Mark with the C. There's
a Mark with the C. That's right.
Yeah, who's a good YouTuber. Yeah.
God bless him.
And I was looking at the Mark C. That's why my brain.
Oh, I got you. Well, if he were here, though,
dude, Mark C was in my chats like way back in the day, dude.
Oh yeah,
like, way back in the day.
Well, I don't know if I told you, but I was the one that when he passed, because his phone was locked up, his sisters had trouble telling his friends and stuff. So we had much of us had to get it off of Facebook, and it was the night before the funeral, and I put it out there on Twitter because I didn't know how many people knew him, by the way. I had no idea. By Mark C. His name was Steven. I knew him by Steven. And but everyone was calling Mark C. Eventually, he had to tell me, "Hey, I'm Mark C. I'm not." That he was in the chats, and I had. He loved you. He loved Doomcock. He loved a lot of the other people he went on with, and he was. I went on with Doomcock that night because he was shaken up really badly, and he was sad about it. And Robert Meyer Burnett, of course, said some really lovely things about him, some very nice things about Mark. They were all, and that I don't know if you knew this, but his wonderful family did not know anything about his Mark C. presence or persona.
Oh, really?
All in social media. No, sir, they didn't know. And this was when we went to the funeral the next day. They were telling him a lot of people knew him because he was in every chat a lot, dude. And he loved all you guys. I mean, he loved all, and he sent you things and all, as you well know. He when I told him about it and I sent him the link to Doomcock who sang songs for him, and I told him about R&B, him writing, and I told him how you had mentioned it and stuff. When we went to the funeral the next day, the family said, look, because Mark liked comics and Star Wars and Star Trek and geek stuff, don't dress up, just wear a geek shirt or something. We all wore geek shirts. And anyway, it was obviously very sad, but they did not know how many people he had touched, just being friendly in chats, being friendly in Twitter, being Mark C. I didn't have a clue how many people really missed him until that, and he was loved by a lot of people, dude.
Yeah, he was. That must have been a trip to them, just going, whoa.
They didn't know anything. They found a picture on his phone of drawing of Mark, of R&B. And they said, who is this? And R&B was very, very gracious and put his picture up on his, as his avatar for a while there. My wonderful first officer, R.M. Briggs, thank you, my dear. I love you so much. She said, she said, I can't do it like she does. I'm not even going to try because she'll have to do it Saturday night, folks. Yeah. You tried, Gary, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
I could try, but
those who try the most
embarrassing.
fail the most.
Adidas says, Ironcaster, buddy. Hey, buddy. One of the comic shop gave me it, Nick's. Hey, my friend. He said, Clobby invented comic shops. We're supposed to tell everybody.
He did. They're called caves, and he painted on them.
That's right.
Comic shop.
He's just mad because I invented Ironcaster. I invented him. In fact,
there you go.
All right, my buddy.
We were all invented by Jennifer Lawrence, by the way. So.
True. I'd like to invent her. Oh, I didn't say that, did I? The great Loki's. Hey, buddy. Good to see you, my good friend. I've made so many great friends since I moved over here over the past couple of years, Gary. You've been very good to me, and I made a lot of wonderful friends. Loki's one of them. My good buddy Paulie at Latinos Land is another. A lot of great friends over here at YouTube.
Loki.
Yep, Loki is the man.
Dude.
Isn't he a good-looking fella? Yes. He says, wait. Y'all own comic shops. Here we go with the abuse. This was all supposed to be a rumor. Well, maybe it was. Maybe we never even went into a comic shop. You consider that? Maybe we think you comic people are a bunch of hopeless nerds. What do you think of them apples, Charlie?
I've been told on Twitter many times I know nothing about comics. So maybe they're right.
Yeah, we don't know nothing. I get it all the time. If I'm and again, we're speaking of our good buddy Mark C. If I would screw something up, dude, he'd be busting my balls in the chat when he wasn't on with me. He'd be like, I can get this wrong. I said, oh, dude, that's embarrassing. Thank you. You boomered. Okay, I'm a boomer. I'm old, man. I sold you comics when you were diapers, boy.
To remember.
Our great buddy D Bud says that Shooter, hey Shooter, thank Gay, he gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Shoot. I love you, buddy. You're a very nice friend. So did and Raquel also informed us. Okay, thank you. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Mr. Jason Sandberg of the comic book Jupiter, please. There's a link in the chat, everybody, for his excellent comic on Indiegogo. Says, Clobby, I'm over on Comic Division. We'll catch it. This in the replay. Gary, thanks for coming on. Clobby is a great hang with, a great chat. Oh, is a great hang with, a great chat. We do have a great chat. I'm not so great, but the chat's great. Can't wait to hear the local comic shop war stories. Well, we didn't really so much talk about war stories but we did talk about comics. That counts, right?
Yeah. Well,
because comics are to be found.
Next time we get in the war stories, and I'll tell the story about like why I got rid of all my adult comics because there was a guy jerking off my bathroom.
Whoa, dude, that's a teaser and a half right there, brother. Good Lord, thank you. Oh, my wonderful
time I almost got robbed. The time I almost got robbed a couple of times, but I knocked the knife out of the dude's hand and broke his crack pipe, and he got all upset because I broke his crack pipe, and I got a new knife out of it.
Oh, I've heard that one before. I love that one, by the way, man. Of course, you were in a dangerous area, man. All I had to word about was rednecks.
But I was like, real quick, coming back from Comic-Con at 3 a.m. I'm unloading my truck and I'm taking a break. I'm fucking eating. It's 3 a.m. and we're in a part of San Francisco that usually doesn't have street urchins running around. Like we're in like a nice park, St. Francis Wood. We're right next to the fucking mansions, right? And San Francisco State. So the worst we'll see is a drunk college student, but they won't fuck with you, right? So I have this like little meek worker his name is Bob. He was silent all the time, but we didn't call him Silent Bob. We thought it was too on the nose. So we called him Dinosaur Bob. Dinosaur Bob, who said 5 words a day, but he was such a nice kid and did tons of great work. Just had like social anxiety, tried to, and we got him through it, but no, he comes out and he goes, Gary, there's somebody in the trailer. I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm 3 a.m. I'm, just got back from San Diego. I'm like, and I go out there and there's somebody in the fucking trailer going through all our shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of there. And the guy comes out and pulls a fucking knife on me. So I just get that fucking knife out of my face. I slapped it out. I said,
damn, Wolverine Gary.
No, Dinosaur Bob's all that is the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Nice. Kicked his arse, dude. Way to go.
Yeah, don't you steal my comics, man, over my dead body.
Hell yeah, for my cold, dead hands.
Yep.
The wonderful, beautiful 6 with a super sticker. Oh, thank you. I can't really see it right now because they don't show it on StreamYards. They'll show you a lot, but not that. 6, I love you. You're beautiful. Thank you so much, my dear. You were wonderful. The great, valiant renegade. Thank you, buddy. You're too kind. He says, hope Gary realizes the presence of greatness he's in. Just saying, he does not.
Gary, I realize. Hey, this is an elder. I don't get to talk to my elders very
often.
That's renegade on the YouTubes. So I'm respect.
Respect. I know you're familiar with Valiant.
Somewhat familiar with him. I think I've heard of him somewhere.
We've all. Well, he informed me about a year or two ago that because he lives down my way, right? Yep. That one of the shops that I'd run later after I had mine back in the 90s was one that he would frequent and that he used to buy them for me when he was a kid. He's another one. And of course, he is an awesome dude with a great channel, and we love you, brother. Thank you so much, VR. You're too kind, my friend.
VR is awesome.
And Bubba Doom 1 says, this is a treat. Hail, Clobby. Hail, Gary. Hail to the fellowship, and hail to you, sir. You are too generous. Thank you so much, my friend. And the great Dad Man Walking, my good friend, whom we get to see soon.
That's a good one.
He is. You should see his other avatar, dude. He's got a spooky one that drives me. The trilogy of Terra, goddamn, voodoo doll thingy. He usually has that one. It gives me the willies.
Oh yeah.
This is a tame one here. He says this is really cool. A great guy who is a mentor of streaming, not Clobby. I don't know who that is. To me, and the guy with an awesome channel that got me watching YouTube and now streaming myself. NERDROTIC, a real dynamic duo. Well, you're Batman, then I'm just like, I'm a Batmite. So You get to be Batman.
Shut up.
You
No
get to be
way.
Batman.
No
oh
way.
man, I don't know. Yep, dude. Batman has some pretty cool powers.
Batmite does have cool powers. He does.
You know, he has the same as Mr. Mitch's Pitalik.
Yes.
And he doesn't have to say his name backwards like Mr. Mitch's Pitalik does. He doesn't have to say Kill Tip Zixum to get beaten. So
that's right.
Lady Mist. Oh, thank you, my dear, lovely lady. Says Clobbering Times. And Gary, this was an awesome show. Well, you were awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And what did she give us? Claps. There you go. Clappies and roses. Thank you so much. And my chief engineer, the great Mark D with a C, who's been a great pal of mine that I made here on YouTube also. White Clam Pizza is the best. I'm buying when you come to New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay, he's in Connecticut. He's a northeasterner. That makes sense.
Yes. Gary, would you eat a white clam pizza?
No, I wouldn't eat. No, I hate seafood.
Well, me too. Either two of us. I lived in the seafood capital of the world, and I don't eat it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I lived in San Diego. You live in Louisiana, and we hate seafood.
I won't touch it. I just can't touch it. Oh, D. Bud Martin says,
no.
Was it? Oh, Dave Bob. Oh, the great Dave Bob. Said is a member. He says, I do think that comics are the best of us. What's that? He says
the clobber
level. Yeah,
clobber level. I do think that comics are the best of us.
Well, I'd agree. Comics are better than me any day.
They are the best medium. Better. I
love them, man. I love them, man. And I tell you what, you were awesome to come hang out with me here, brother. Because I know you got all kind of busy stuff to do. You got it's only Monday, but you got to. You're going to be doing.
I got to start preparing for. Oh, I shouldn't kill. That whole thing about me not preparing for shows is not really true.
So you do. Wait a minute. You prepare for shows?
Well, real BBC. Yeah. Okay. My prep is pulling out my comics and my bags and boards, and then probably reading some of them.
So are you going to be bagging some of them when you do it? Or
yeah. Tomorrow, we're going to do Daredevil. I'm going to bag some of the magazines I got, including this. Tom, I don't know if you were here earlier. This beautiful Blade Runner
Tom
magazine.
Tom, look at that. There he is. He's right there. Tom, look at that, dude.
My Star Logs that I got. I went to a comic store today, Tom, and they were like, $5-6. I'm like, shit. Okay, I gotta buy these. Oh, wait. The best one, Tom, is the one I distinctly remember. I told the story earlier. So we got Space Hunter in 3D with Molly Ringwald, and we got Blue Thunder with the great Roy Scheider, and then we have Pam Grier, who is one of my very first crushes, who was in Something Wicked This Way Come. I got to meet Pam Grier way back in the day.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. Oh, by the way, is that tomorrow? But dude, Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan?
Yes, Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan will be joining us tomorrow. How fucking rad is that? That I'm talking to Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan like on the regular now. And I know, Tom, you've had Chuck on, right? You've had Graham on too on Midnight's Edge.
Yeah.
They're awesome. They're really good at live streaming. That's the really important part is like,
yes.
Hey, if you're a comic artist, you got one talent, but not every one of them it's a lot of them are good on like as guests, right? But Chuck and Graham are great. Yeah, Pam Grier is hot, Tom. Like so freaking hot.
Oh,
like
she's amazing, dude.
Hot. So she did Frankie and Johnny Declare de Lune at some play in San Diego. I was at a rehab, so we went out and saw this play because that'd be the only reason I go to a fucking play. And we got to go backstage, and she was in Frankie and Johnny. She got naked in the play, and she was like in this little number, and she came back and shook all our hands and said, "Get sober" and stuff. It was really sweet, and I was like,
oh man, that is badass there, dude.
That was one of the hottest women I've ever seen in my life. So,
oh my goodness. Well, treat for you, Gary. You talk about Starlog there. If you see these badass,
I saw the cover. Yeah, look
at that, man. I had this number one.
I am down a rabbit hole. I'm gonna have to buy a bunch of Starlogs now.
How about those painted covers early on,
dude? They were so good. Oh my god!
Look at remember that movie?
Oh, I remember that one. I remember that one. Oh god.
Oh man, these
just the TV series
look at these covers.
Galactica. Superman. Oh,
That's
look
a
at
beautiful
that.
Star
That is
Trek cover.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was such a great mag. Then you'd open it up, and there was always, the first thing I went to. What?
That's the one I got.
Yep, you got that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I would always turn to? I would turn to the page that shows you all the upcoming movies that are never going to get made, that we thought were going to get made.
Right? That is true.
They got the page like that. Oh God, look at that issue! Jesus Christ!
Will Han Solo return?
Willie, whoops!
So good. Not after The Force Awakens, that's for sure.
No, he won't. But anyway, I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing that. Those are beautiful. So
they're freaking awesome. Good time,
Gary. Dude, I've kept you long enough, my friend, but it's never long enough for me because I can talk to you all day, but you are all talked out with all the shows you do. I understand that. So you are way too kind to come hang out with me here, buddy. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for inviting me, and let's do it again. Sorry it took so long for us to talk. I'm glad we got it done. I had a really good time, Clobby. So thanks for always supporting my channel and Midnight's Edge and being just a great supporter of so many content creators out there, and just a good dude in the fellowship, hanging out in the chats. We really appreciate you, and damn good live streamer too.
Well, thank you too much, and so much I should say. See, I'm a bad speaker when am I nervous? No, I'm never nervous.
I'm a fucking idiot. You can't be nervous about me.
Man, we're both a couple of comic shop owners. That's how smart we are. We're smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
I once swore that I would never be in the business again, but if you started a big ass shop and hired my fat ass, it would be the worst mistake you ever made, but I would take the job.
I've made a ton of terrible mistakes. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I say, boss, this new comic you ordered sucks, man. I'm not selling. I'm just going to give it away. No.
Well, we could argue about the comic adaptation of Picard season 3 for like 3 weeks. So
yeah, we could argue about that. Wait, did they make a third season?
No. Really good soundtrack on vinyl, though.
Yeah, by Jerry Goldsmith from like 30 years ago.
I know that it's like a redo of Jerry Goldsmith. That's fine. I'll take it.
I did like the music. I could just listen to that music all day.
Music's really nice. It's just Jerry Goldsmith's greatest hits remix.
Yes,
but I love it.
They said, so, boss, are we going to hire? Who we're hiring to do the music for this show? Just go into I have a cabinet back there.
Somebody who does Jerry Goldsmith really good.
Yes. Now, he just pulled them out of his damn collection.
Yeah.
I said, what the hell? Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you all so much for being here with us, folks. Wrenches, I can't thank you enough. All my wonderful friends who showed up in the chat, new friends, if you please like and subscribe, but only if you mean it. If you don't like it, that's fine. I can take it. But if you do subscribe, if you're new here, I would appreciate it.
You're doing it wrong. No, please subscribe to Clobberin Time. Even if you don't like it, subscribe.
Well, I don't want to be the one to say it. I'm just too, how modest I am. Thank you.
I've got to level up my grifting game too, because I'm not fucking losing to Dan Bask. I'm just saying it right down in the bet. So
never will you lose to him. No, man, you're the champ. You're A number one. You're the Duke of New York. You're A number one.
That's right. Ayatollah of rock and roller.
You're Isom.
Yeah.
Isom. Coolness. Shazam. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. I play you out now with the end credits because we like to pretend we're a show around here.
Clobbering time! Clobber on 'em all! clobberin time.
And